Stick with me, you and I are about to see the craziest system loophole ever. It starts with our MC bumping into his crush, and she looks absolutely disgusted. Some rich jerk instantly smacks him on the head, yelling at him to stop staring at the gorgeous Jo Yun. His life was basically just this. Tae-in was always treated like an absolute loser. He just wanted to chill in the corner and read comics. But the universe decided to trigger the apocalypse right in the middle of second period. Boom, massive explosions shatter the hallway windows as a gigantic, bizarre purple monster rips straight through the school floor. That exact same arrogant bully, now shivering on the ground, literally crying and begging for his life. While that jerk was weeping, a glowing blue system window floated right into his face. The glowing system message was brutal and straight to the point. Humanity was being wiped out, and he was chosen to fight. The single catch: survive 66,000 years of hellish training in a mystical tower just to save Earth. But the system left a huge loophole. As a starter bonus, he could pick any item or skill to help him climb this deadly tower. You're going to want to watch this. He looks at that window and demands a skip ticket. The system immediately panics, trying to block him. It claims that would destroy the entire balance and ruin the whole point of the trial. But Tae-in aggressively yells back the rules, said any item was allowed. Cornered by its own massive glitch, the system forcefully hands over the golden ticket. He activates the item instantly, skipping 66,000 years of pure hell in a single heartbeat. A blinding white light completely swallows the entire city. System notifications start spamming endlessly. Congratulations for clearing the tower. All mortal restrictions are instantly lifted. Stats, magic, and powers all maxed out at SSS rank. He wasn't human anymore. He just woke up as an absolute god. The purple monster roars and charges straight at him. Tae-in doesn't blink or step back once. He just raises his hand and casually flicks its forehead. Huge miscalculation on his part. The force is so incredibly brutal, it doesn't just vaporize the monster. It wipes the school right off the map, destroys all of Seoul, and sends a destructive wave slicing through the entire country in mere seconds, a literal planetary-level finger strike. We both know Tae-in wasn't expecting that crazy outcome. He watches totally impressed as the system calculates insane rewards, spamming notifications for eliminating 389 gates and crushing 1,000,000 monsters instantly. Tae-in is totally shocked. His little flick just caused 2 billion casualties. The bully just stammers that it was absolute insanity. The bully respectfully asks what just happened, and Tae-in is actually impressed by his polite tone. Tae-in realizes his maxed out magic means he can use time reversal. He quickly activates the skill to undo all this destruction. Everything rewinds to zero. The massive destruction vanishes, and the monster reappears right in front of him. Magic complete. The monster is panicking now, totally terrified, while Tae-in is just surprised it actually worked. This is his first transcendent move. He wonders where the game balance went, while the monster desperately tries fleeing, but Tae-in easily traps it with coordination magic. Feeling bad about killing it twice, he opens a portal and just chucks it into another dimension entirely. Tae-in just casually stretches after that. The bully hypes him up, saying it was incredible how Tae-in just swept away that terrifying monster. Our MC calmly replies he didn't kill it, just yeeted it to a whole different dimension. The delinquent praises him, saying he always knew Tae-in was reliable for saving his life. Though suddenly he remembers all the horrible things he said earlier. Tae-in mentions that seeing the bully trying to protect him from the beast reminded him about the bread run he ordered earlier. The terrified bully begs him to forget it. As Tae-in steps closer, the punk waves his hands, screaming that everything is fine and he doesn't need any bread. He drops down crying and begging forgiveness. Tae-in stares, then tells him to wait, saying he has an errand first. Looking outside, the bully sees massive monsters tearing apart the entire city. He screams in absolute horror, begging to be saved. Tae-in calmly repeats for him to just hold on. The terrified bully cries what could possibly be more important than saving their school. Tae-in bluntly replies he needs to save his own parents first. The bully admits that's fair. Then Tae-in activates teleportation, vanishing instantly from the room. Back home, a peaceful afternoon nap commercial is playing on TV while his parents watch. His dad sighs, calling it a perfect lazy afternoon on the couch, until a breaking news alert completely interrupts the broadcast. Seoul is attacked. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Stick with me here. Tae-in's dad jumps off the couch, totally spooked by the noise outside. Monsters are literally tearing Seoul apart. The parents are terrified. Meanwhile, a massive beast creeps right up to their window. The beast charges an attack while his parents duck for cover. But boom, Tae teleports right behind it, casually asking what's going on. Then he hits the monster with his inverted gravity skill. Instantly, the beast shoots straight up into the sky, screaming in pure terror. Tae just walks up to the window, telling his parents he's still their sweet boy. His parents are completely stunned. They ask what just happened. and why he's wearing shoes indoors. Stepping inside, Tae-in yells that the shoes don't matter right now. He thanks them for raising him these past 16 years. They used to worry about him reading manhwa all day long. Well, no need to stress anymore because he was just chosen as the savior of humanity. His parents basically ask what kind of crazy talk this is. Tae-in explains he always studied how manhwa main characters handled apocalyptic disasters, just like this one. Those guys always got overpowered abilities to go out and live their ultimate fantasies. But Tae-in never understood why they abandoned their families. He refuses to do that, so he casts massive buff spells on his parents while they just stare at him confused. Tae swears to protect them no matter what, throwing up huge magical barriers around the house. He promises this shield will keep them totally safe. Those monsters will not even leave a scratch. But now, time to go, save the world. His parents are still super lost as Tae casually says his goodbyes and tells them he loves them. He vanishes into thin air right as they say it back. Cut to the school, Tae-in teleports in and the local bully spots him. The bully asks about his parents. Tae-in just smirks and says they are perfectly fine. The bully laughs it off. But Tae-in remembers being forced to go buy bread for this jerk. So he decides it is payback time. As the classic bullied kid, it was his absolute duty to destroy his tormentor. He fires up a massive summoning spell, completely freaking the guy out. Tae yells that he ordered hamburger buns this time, so he better eat up. He starts launching endless food packages. The guy gets literally buried in a mountain of buns. As he struggles up, Tae calls him pathetic, rating this revenge a solid 7 out of 10. The bully freaks out, screaming he never actually did anything bad enough to deserve this kind of insane treatment. Watch closely here. Tae says we skipped a few chapters, so he casually forces a dramatic flashback onto the screen. The guy plays dumb, but Tae-in vividly remembers the vicious laughter while he was getting beat down in the halls. The awful smell of his burning school uniform, which the bully ruined for fun. Eating toilet water lunches. The sheer despair of finding a literal padlock snapped onto his glasses. Just pure endless torment that ruined his daily life. So Tae-in glares and asks if he remembers now. The delinquent screams that none of that ever actually happened. He admits to the bread errand and apologizes, but swears the rest is totally fake, especially since Tae-in does not even wear glasses. Tae-in tilts his head, asking if he was accusing him of lying. Sweating bullets, the bully stammers back, saying maybe he did do it after all. Tae just smiles, accepts the fake apology, and surprisingly forgives him. As a peace offering, he promises to turn him into something he truly loves. The guy instantly dreams of becoming a massive bodybuilder. Tae-in fires off his shape-shifting skill directly at the guy. Thick smoke explodes everywhere, slowly clearing out to reveal the results. Kim Il-jin is now a literal hamburger bun. The bread cries out in shock while Tae-in just laughs and calls him cute. Tae tells the bun that true repentance is the only way back to human form. Il-jin immediately screams that he is deeply sorry. Suddenly a girl's voice rings out. Uni asks what he is. Our hero turns around, caught off guard. She thinks he must be some god-chosen warrior. Meanwhile, Bread Il-jin is literally crying on the floor for his human body back. Uni points, asking if that hamburger is alive. Tae just calls it adorable. She then asks how he isn't completely terrified right now. Let that sink in for a second. The apocalypse just hit, lives are lost, the school is dead, silent, and phones are down so the police cannot help. She is absolutely terrified of dying today. She demands to know how he can possibly be smiling right now. Tae-in sighs her name, asking if she has ever read a webtoon. He says they are just for fun, so stop overthinking the plot holes. He says they are alone simply because the author was super lazy. Uni looks at him like he is completely insane. Tae just stares back, deciding she is way too boring to be his female lead. Yunya is totally shocked. Tae actually thinks her boring vibe is ruining the pacing of his perfectly structured manhwa chapters. So Tae-in figures he should just summon a brand new female lead himself. He pops an interdimensional portal hunting for a better heroine. And trust me, you are going to want to see who walks out next. Stick with me here. Yunya asks what happened, and our main character, he just wanted to summon the absolute most stunning woman from any dimension. The monsters outside completely freak out. As the smoke clears, Il-jin demands to know what this pervert just did. Tae jumps back. A girl steps right out of the smoke, gripping a dripping bloody knife. The smoke fades and she glares right at our guy. Tae is totally frozen. She casually mentions she just stabbed Germaine with her own 2 hands. Our hero immediately figures it out. She is totally that romance fantasy villainess who seduces the tyrant, ends his life, and steals the villain role for herself. Apparently her husband crossed the line the second he dared to use her real name. No one had ever addressed her that casually before. She starts rambling about House Libert. But Tae cuts her off, yelling to stop, because nobody gave her permission to switch up the genre. He realizes she is Layla. and he knows exactly how crucial those first 3 chapters are to keep a webtoon alive. If she drags her romance drama in here, they will be trapped in this school for 3 episodes. The readers will complain the pacing is slow. Layla keeps explaining, totally ignoring his rant. Tae shouts at her to drop the sparkly dramatic dialogue. Layla snaps back, asking who he thinks he is, yelling at a total stranger. The main character just tells her to drop the knife and talk. He really hates these romance fantasy tropes. She looks around, totally confused about where she is and her weird outfit. Just seconds ago, she was literally stabbing her husband. But our guy snaps his fingers, smacking the dagger right out of her hand. He tells her to magic away the blood too. Suddenly, she glows with this divine beauty, making Yunya and Iljin totally blush. Layla asks who he really is, but Tae looks away. Something is coming. He instantly triggers a defensive barrier using the system magic. Now watch closely, things get crazy. A huge monster bashes the school with a staff, but it completely bounces off the barrier. Yun screams in absolute panic while Layla demands to know what that thing is. Tae just stares as the beast smashes the shield again and again. The monster roars, furious that nothing is working. The main character smirks, calling it an idiotic monster, perfect for a warm-up. So he blasts right out the window, limiting himself to 1/1,000,000th of his power. Using the unranked skill Shock Finger, he completely vaporizes the giant monster with 0 effort. The girls are absolutely stunned. Layla calls it incredible, and Yoon stammers that magic and monsters should not even exist here. Tae just laughs, saying as long as it is entertaining, nobody cares. He drops a D-rank freezing skill, turning the entire horde into ice sculptures instantly. Then he pushes forward, triggering Stomp. Boom, a massive earthquake shatters dozens of monsters. Tae sighs hard, admitting maybe he went a little overboard with the absolute carnage. Even holding back his power stats are just too insane. But honestly, he is loving every second of it. The system chimes in, first kill confirmed. But an endless wave of beasts is already charging straight at our main character. Tae realizes this is a Portal Hunter fantasy game now. Literally the best setup ever. I know what you are thinking, is he overpowered? Absolutely. Activating max speed, flight, and psionics, he relentlessly shreds through the entire monster horde. He totally obliterates one last dragon-shaped beast. Then he pauses, staring down the glowing portal. Normally hunters have to go inside and clear them, but he is built entirely different, so he just uses dimensional exile. The remaining monsters get forcefully teleported back, and the gate snaps shut. 0 chance for payback. Our hero casually states he will just destroy the portal completely, and just like that, the exile finishes. Tae notes that Seoul should be completely safe for the moment. He teleports right back to the classroom, finding the girls just casually talking. Layla welcomes him back, explaining she listened to them talk about this new reality. She honestly thought she had time traveled into the distant future. The main character tells her it is not exactly the future. He decides to use his transformability to blend her right into modern society. He points out that if she keeps wearing that massive dress, the artist would suffer trying to draw her, especially during monster fights. In a flash, Layla gets swapped into casual clothes. Iljin instantly falls head over heels. Layla demands a cloak right now, but the guy ignores her, saying her hair is also too hard to draw, tying it back. Yunya groans, saying she really did not need to know this pervert's specific fashion tastes. Tae plays it off, dodging the insults like a pro. He claims he just picked an outfit that was easy to move around in. Looking at the final result, the shorts are a choice, but Iljin begs him to keep them. He tells Layla to just wear it. So what do you and I take from this? Our guy literally makes his own rules. Yoon asked if he could literally conjure up Chanel or Louis Vuitton outfits. Stick with me here. Is she really playing that kind of character right now? Layla cut in. She wasn't Lieber anymore, but Clisawatch. A noble title proving she was officially a royal princess. He pointed out her messy hair. But Layla just dropped a bomb. She abandoned her family name after murdering her own husband. Our boy apologized. He had 0 clue about the dark history of her world. He didn't understand half of her rant, but it was obvious her past was absolutely tragic. But he didn't want the depressing details. He straight up guessed she had a terminal illness, leaving Layla totally shocked. And that wasn't all. She was probably forced into a loveless arranged marriage too. Her husband messed up, she got framed as the ultimate villain, and everything spiraled into absolute chaos right after. Crying, she admitted he was dead on. Tae comforted her, saying her days of suffering were finally over. Layla reminded him that she still assassinated the crown prince. But Tae didn't care the guy attacked first. He hit her with a seraphim blessing and completely cleared her guilt. A warm glow wrapped around her. Tae just casually cured her terminal illness, meaning she wasn't going to die anymore. She was finally free to live her life. No controlling father, no fake friends, not even her royal husband could give her this. True freedom for the very first time. And a total stranger gave it to her. Tears falling, she thanked him. Suddenly, a notification popped. 33 monsters down, new achievement unlocked. He smirked. This was just the prologue. Now pay attention because things are about to escalate. The constellations were watching him. Entertain these cosmic beings and he would score insane sponsorships, broken skills, and massive item upgrades. But our MC, he didn't care at all. With multiple gods watching, he literally hit the block button on everyone. The system panicked, demanding to know why he would reject such a god-tier opportunity. Tae casually mentioned he just hated constellations. Then he totally ignored the system and turned to his party. He asked if they wanted to help save the world. Meanwhile, up in the interdimensional celestial council, the gods were meeting. The constellation of rage snapped. How dare a mere mortal reject their divine favor? He was absolutely furious. But the constellation of games just laughed, finding the disrespect highly entertaining. Another god suggested they teach him a brutal lesson. But Sekai, the constellation king, ordered everyone to chill out. Human or not, he conquered the challenge tower and earned respect. The god of despair called bluff, saying it was totally impossible. The god of envy complained that he had literally skipped every single floor. You and I both know this spells trouble. One god volunteered to visit Earth, ready to assassinate him if he posed a threat. Back on Earth, Tae announced he would share all his raw power. He told them to go hunt monsters. But Yoon argued back, refusing to risk her life for absolutely nothing. Ilg agreed it was crazy. Tae promised them zero danger, they were his crew now and he wouldn't let them die. Yoon fired back. With his insane level, he could literally solo the entire apocalypse himself. Tae sighed at her logic. Sure, he was the main character, but soloing every single boss just wouldn't be fun to watch. Right on cue, a beast charged. Tae casually swatted it, killing the monster instantly. He explained his theory. An overpowered main character needs epic side characters to keep the story interesting. Yoon looked completely lost. But Layla, she understood his assignment perfectly. Time to hunt and save the world. She had already killed her royal husband. A few ugly monsters were absolutely nothing. She locked eyes with a beast. Tae smiled, realizing his plan to make things entertaining was actually working. He finally formed his party, giving Layla the exact combat role he always pictured. She popped her Malice Unleashed skill. A blur of dagger strikes and the monster was instantly shredded into 100 pieces. Layla soaked in the freedom, fully embracing her new assassin role. Yoon freaked out, but Tae celebrated unlocking her perfect character class. Layla smiled, admitting she had never felt this kind of pure thrill in her entire life. But then danger from behind. A second monster lunged, wrapping her up in disgusting tentacles. Trust me, you will want to see how this plays out. The crew panicked. Hamburger charged and Tae just loudly cheered. Trust me, this gets absolutely insane. Iljin channels everything into a brutal headbutt against the beast, 0 damage. Furious, he screams about having a pathetic mascot skill. He begs the overpowered main character for a real upgrade while Lilei randomly thanks Hamburger. Iljin spun around pretending it was nothing. Tae just laughs, instantly slicing the creature to pieces. Yuna watches this absolutely stunned. He casually tells Yuna to show off her skills, but she flat out refuses. This guy is ridiculously overpowered and can literally rewind time itself. Handpicked by the gods themselves, he has the ultimate power to reset everything before this total apocalypse even started. Everyday people are constantly dying out here, yet Tae treats this entire nightmare like a fun game. He completely agrees, smiling and promising she will understand eventually. To him, having fun is the only rule. The vibe instantly shifts. Suddenly, Tae points up and yells about a massive flying monster. Yuna steps up to use her magic. Gripping her staff like a baseball bat, she swings wildly, launching the monster miles away. Magic nope. Yuna is straight up pure physical power. Iljin jokes, she looks like a pro batter. She humbly admits to childhood training. Tae complains about missing this until a heavy presence strikes. He snaps around, throwing up a defense. What kind of monster attacks like this? A strange man steps out, deeply impressed that someone blocked his pure combat aura using nothing but their bare hands. Now watch this next reveal closely. The mysterious guy chuckles, shocked to find an unknown Eastern master. Tae gasps, it is the legendary heavenly demon. Cheon-ma narrows his eyes, demanding how his identity was exposed. Tae casually claims superfan status, leaving Yuna incredibly confused. Tae literally tells her to look up his webtoon. This guy is the ultimate iconic villain straight out of a martial arts comic. The demon scoffs, annoyed by the constant chit-chat. He suspects Tae caused that massive explosion of energy in the east. Tae pauses, asking if he means that gigantic shockwave that recently slammed into the entire Korean peninsula. The demon nods coldly, demanding to know why he is asking. He monologues about how modern martial arts turned into absolute garbage, leaving humanity pathetic and incredibly weak over the centuries. Sick of the boring piece he watched, as the world reset itself, smiling as endless monsters finally began to spawn. Watching monsters literally drop from the sky gave him pure joy. This was a level of chaos he absolutely craved. But just as he was about to enjoy the slaughter, a godlike burst of energy exploded out from the east. Panic hit him. He launched his ultimate Heavenly Demon Extreme Seal just to survive the blast. Yet Tae stands there now, effortlessly swatting it away. The raw, destructive power blew his mind. But the craziest part was everything magically returning to normal. He literally witnessed time itself rewinding, perfectly repairing every single thing that had just been utterly destroyed. This could only be the work of an absolute master. You and I know that means trouble. Driven by pure instinct, he walked across oceans just to get here. Ignoring the whole water-walking thing, Yuna bluntly asks why a martial arts master from China speaks completely fluent Korean. Tae mutters that she has a point. Furious, the heavenly demon locks eyes with Tae, declaring he will end his life right now. Tae totally fanboys over the real heavenly demon. The villain just laughs, promising a very entertaining death. The girls look terrified, sensing the danger. The demon charges up his legendary heavenly dragon palm, aiming straight for Tae. The impact triggers a massive explosion, but suddenly Tae warps right behind him. He whispers that the attack was too slow. The demon spins around in pure shock, while Tae just grins happily. He always wanted to teleport behind a villain and say that. Since awakening his insane powers, he wanted to test the demon's cool technique. Humiliated, the master coldly apologizes for not playing along. He angrily turns his back, claiming he lost interest and would rather hunt monsters. He calls this entire trip a huge waste of time. Iljin immediately mocks him, saying he is just making sad excuses because his attack failed. The demon scoffs, insulting Korea by wondering how such a pathetic weakling could possibly protect this entire country from destruction. Tae's smile instantly drops. He warns the heavenly demon that he just crossed a major line. He usually doesn't care, but this is the Republic of Korea. The demon flinches back in pure terror, realizing he cannot even sense Tae's monstrous aura anymore. Desperate, he fires off a massive palm strike at Tae. Let that sink in. Tae easily blocks the ultimate attack with a literal pebble, leaving us begging to see how this crazy fight ends. Meanwhile, Yunya yelled out. The celestial demon was absolutely stunned. This guy's martial arts literally compressed space itself. Stick with me, we're about to watch Tae-in shatter this prison like glass, totally shocking Cheyenne Ma. Our main character brushed it off. Annoying, sure, but epic, definitely. Then he straight up ordered the demon to join his crew. Everyone's jaws dropped. Cheyenne Ma was furious. His absolute centuries-old technique had been utterly flawless, but not a single move worked. He was the absolute strongest under the heavens. No way he was bowing down to some random brat. Tae-in just laughed at that shiny title. Then a wicked, completely unhinged idea crossed his mind. He warned the demon boss that his normal life was officially over. Boom. Tae-in triggered his insane transformation skill right there. Iljin panicked, asking what the hell he was planning. Thick smoke blasted Cheyenne Ma, who screamed, demanding to know what trick this was. Suddenly, his voice cracked. His whole body shifted, becoming completely feminine. The entire party just froze in total shock. Tae-in smirked. The strongest man under the heavens? Nope. Try the strongest woman. She totally lost her mind, screaming about what this bastard just did to her. Yunya yelled that he was a total pervert while our guy just groaned. You and I don't see this much anymore, right? Gender-bending the terrifying boss just for laughs is classic, pure anime chaos. Una tried to argue, but our guy literally told her to shut up and keep her dialogue under 3 lines. The former boss charged right at him, demanding to be fixed immediately. But Tae-in, he just casually smacked her right on the head. He mocked her, saying it had been ages since she took a hit while sitting at the absolute top. He warned her act up again, and the next strike would hit harder. Una immediately complained. Striking and threatening a woman like that, she called him a completely terrible guy right to his face. But he didn't care. He just secured a brand new party member. Cheyenne Ma realized she was stuck as the group's new nun. Tae-in just told everyone to chill out and hunt nearby monsters. He muttered about how ridiculously easy this was, instantly activating his wild teleportation skill. He declared he was off to save the world, leaving the girls completely confused. Meanwhile, panic erupted inside the Washington White House emergency room. The leaders argued frantically. Time was up. This monster disaster was about to wipe out all of humanity. They needed a choice fast. The president asked the unthinkable, should they drop nukes, even if it destroyed their own land? The Secretary of Defense looked absolutely defeated. He admitted that even if they threw every single weapon they had, whether chemical, biological, or mechanical, once that massive gate finally cracked wide open, the monster swarm would be unstoppable. The president slammed his desk, furious at this nightmare. He prayed the nukes could somehow destroy the portals. But suddenly Tae-in literally materialized, announcing he would take care of it himself. The president freaked out, asking who he was. Tae-in waved, introducing himself as Korea's resident pervert and humanity's ultimate savior. I know what you're thinking, they should listen. Instead, the room exploded into shouting as every single guard aimed their guns. Tae-in told them to chill out and listen. A guard screamed at him to put his hands on his head or die, while Tae-in just whined about how painful this was. The officials screamed he was definitely a monster since he teleported inside, but the president raised a hand telling them to hold fire. But someone panicked. Shots rang out. The guards just froze in total disbelief. Tae-in effortlessly stopped every single bullet mid-air with just one flick of his hand. He just laughed. After seeing that stunt, they had zero choice but to trust him. Then he demanded they hand over every nuclear weapon. The president snapped back. That was completely impossible to just blindly hand over, so Tae-in activated his mass manipulation skill, instantly mind-controlling the entire room. Everyone turned into mindless zombies, and the president grabbed his secure phone. He relayed an absolute order to NASA and all Code 389 units. They needed to launch the entire nuclear arsenal right away. The operators were terrified by this insane command, but they obeyed. Countless missiles shot into the sky, the exact warhead count completely unknown. We're talking around 8,000 total nuclear units launching all at once. Time to shine. Tae-in triggered his invisible hand skill, summoning a massive godlike palm to literally grab the flying weapons out of thin air. Next up, his replication skill. Just like that, every single missile became his personal toy. Tae-in gathered every last one of them, making sure zero were left behind, and aimed the massive arsenal straight at the monster portal. The nukes blasted toward the gate. Tae-in flashed a massive victorious grin. Meanwhile, over in Moscow at the Supreme Council headquarters, they panicked, shouting that America just launched everything and they had to retaliate. But boom, Tae-in teleported in, saying it was not necessary. Every Russian guard opened fire, but he effortlessly blocked the bullets once again. So what do you and I take from this? Total dominance. Back in the United States, the secretary confirmed every portal was cleared. Stick with me here. Tae-in just popped up, claiming he saved the world and thanking them for dropping the nukes. The president is totally lost, but Tae-in explains the nukes didn't actually hit reality, and boom, the portals are gone. Everyone praises the Korean hero. Tae-in warns them about the remaining monsters outside and says to fight hard. Then, using his teleportation, he vanishes, wishing America good luck. Back in Korea, Cheon-ma crushes a monster under her foot. Tae-in tells her good job. The girls finally spot him, and Yuna angrily asks if he has any idea how many times they almost died today. The missiles had just crashed down and blown up the portal. She demands to know if he did that. Tae-in casually says yes, praising Iljin's work. But right now they desperately needed a heavy tank. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts right behind them. The girls quickly cover up to block the flying dust. A literal constellation appears, claiming the Earth's transcendent has completely ruined cosmic order. She introduces herself as Udarini here to judge him in the name of absolute justice. Watch closely. The group is entirely stunned, but Tae-in just thinks he found his tank. Cheon-ma feels the aura of a true master. Tae-in tells her to stay back. He immediately pings the system, asking what the hell it meant by divine seats. Then he remembers the system blocked all constellation talk, saying that this entire thing might be a huge misunderstanding. He doesn't hate constellations, he was just busy fighting off the literal monster invasion on Earth. Udarini snaps back. That is exactly the problem. Humanity hasn't suffered enough, and it is all his fault. Tae-in is furious. Hasn't humanity bled enough? The portals, the endless monsters, the massive death toll that was all caused by these absolute joke constellations. Udarini confirms it, and suddenly the system announces an incoming massive world lore dump. Every living thing creates energy that constellations literally need to survive. They call it nentropy, so they farm it. Smarter, stronger species drop more nentropy. To force them to evolve, constellations create deadly tests. If a species gets stronger, it feeds them way more raw power. If they fail, they go extinct, becoming fertilizer for a brand new, better species. But Tae-in shattered the tutorial entirely on his own, stealing humanity's chance to collectively level up. The constellations wanted a front row seat, but his block caused a massive uproar up there, so she came down to judge him herself. Tae-in calls this absolute garbage. She just dropped this absurd infobomb like nothing. Suddenly, this is pure sci-fi madness, and Yuna is standing there wondering what on earth he is saying. Our main character tags in Iljin and orders the hamburger to summarize her trash in 3 lines. The floating hamburger says, "For anyone skipping the boring dialogue, listen up right now. Constellations drink our energy. They opened portals for chaos. Tae-in ruined it and pissed them off. You and I both know the truth here. These cosmic beings are completely insane. Layla steps up, refusing to forgive this. But Cheon-ma holds her back. This enemy is way above their pay grade. Tae-in immediately activates his void emergence skill. He reshapes pure space into a deadly glowing blade. He charges straight at Udarini, yelling at her to eat this attack. Tae-in absolutely hates this Constellation nonsense. His sword class ability triggers firing dozens of wild space-tearing slashes right at her. She readies her own weapon and blocks every single hit effortlessly. Tae-in is completely stunned. His blade literally deletes existence itself, yet Udarini just casually swats it away. The Constellation mocks Earth's champion, stating he is completely out of her league. Tae-in hits the ground hard, asking if that is really all she has got. Then he triggers his massive planetary explosion skill. The blast lights up Udarini's face, breaking the atmosphere and nuking everything in front of Tae-in. But she just tanks it, smiling, and says, "Not bad." Tae-in decides it is time to abuse multicasting. To flip this crisis, he has to hit back harder. He tells the girls to push forward, aiming for a massive dopamine rush combo. But suddenly Tae-in's entire hand completely vanishes. He processes the brutal loss in a split second. Udarini coldly tells him to just accept her divine judgment. Tae-in screams out in pure agony. Bleeding, he slams his time reversal ability, swearing he will rewind the clock as many times as it takes to win. He just needs to rewind until he is fully prepared. But terror sets in. Udarini is not frozen. She smiles, explaining that cosmic beings are totally immune to petty time and space distortions. Snapped back to the moment Cheon-ma called him a master, Tae-in nervously tells everyone to stay back. This enemy is absurdly strong. Trust me, we must wonder what the author was thinking, adding a boss this overpowered. Alright, stick with me. We are about to watch our boy Tae-in talk his way out of divine punishment. He asks what judgment she means. Yudu-Rei summons something glowing right into her hand. A golden scale of justice. Tae-in recognizes it instantly. She explains the rules. This cosmic scale measures the raw value of anything using the universe's absolute laws. Our guy just gets totally annoyed by this cosmic lecture, so she decides to test him. She weighs his overall benefit to the universe against the massive threat he poses to cosmic order. Let us see which is heavier. Tae-in asks which side is which. Yudu-Rei glares as the heavy golden scale violently tips toward the threat side. She coldly warns him. He is a massive danger to the universe and the judgment of these cosmic scales, absolute undeniable truth. Based on that truth, she has to lock him down. Tae-in pauses his mind, racing for a loophole. Then a smirk crosses his face. If this artifact can judge literally anything, he has a fun little suggestion. She confirms that human issues are absolutely completely trivial to gods. So Tae-in challenges her to solve humanity's biggest debate before trying to take him out. As the Constellation of Justice, she literally cannot ignore a formal request. She asks what exact value he wants measured. Yuna freaks out, asking what on earth he is doing. Tae-in just grins and tells her to relax and enjoy the show. He just loves a good cosmic balancing game. He asks the ultimate question. Which manhwa is better, plus 99 wooden stick or the solo leveling one? I know what you are thinking, and yes, he really just asked that. Yudu-Rei and the girls are completely dumbfounded. Tae-in repeats his question about which story is actually more fun. Yuna looks totally lost, and our boy is shocked they do not read webtoons. He tells her to just sell her brain to him. She deadpans that you cannot literally sell your own brain. He shrugs, saying he just wants to use a memory wipe skill so he can read them again. Ilgen tells the goddess to ignore Tae-in's absolute webtoon obsession. But the mighty Constellation has absolutely no clue what they are. Argai claims it is humanity's greatest invention. The Constellation coldly snaps back that her scales do not judge trivial emotions like fun. Tae-in scoffs right back at the supposed goddess. She apparently knows absolutely nothing about the real world, because nothing is more important than fun. But whatever, he will dumb it down to her cosmic level for just a second. Yudu-Rei stares completely confused by his sudden dark shift. He continues pointing out that she is the Constellation of Justice protecting order. She strictly confirms that breaking cosmic rules would cause terrifying, unpredictable disaster for everyone everywhere. Tae-in traps her. By her own logic, she is just sacrificing him to prevent consequences she cannot even actually predict. The goddess is left completely speechless. He does not let up. He knows she is about to argue that tiny sacrifices are totally necessary for the greater good. You and I know this system is rigged right. Even judging universal order is totally biased on these giant scales. Sure, sacrificing one guy works for the universe, but from a human perspective, it is just straight-up cruelty and completely unfair. She glares, asking if he seriously thinks one mortal life matters more than the entire universe. He smirks. Forcing him to die for some cosmic greater good, that is exactly what they need to weigh right now. Justice versus absolute injustice. Time for the real test. She generates the heavy weights. Slowly, the golden scales violently tip all the way toward the unjust side. Yuna gasps, asking what just happened. Our boy smiles and says the answer was obvious from the very start. The goddess stands frozen in pure shock. Tae-in leans in, asking if she still plans to lock him up for threatening the universe. Defeated, she admits he is totally right. Taking him out would be a massive injustice. Layla praises his absolute genius intellect. Yuna just rubs her head, still totally lost on what just went down. He casually explains that justice flips depending on who is looking. Then he drops a massive proposal for the mighty Constellation herself. If she is so worried about the universe exploding, she should just stick around and keep a close eye on him forever. He never even wanted to ruin the cosmic order. He just hated gods attacking innocent humans, and her whole job is protecting the weak. She blinks, realizing this logic is completely bulletproof. She formally promises to stay by his side from now on. Cheon-ma watches in utter awe. This madman really just talked a literal cosmic deity into joining his team. But wait, Tae-in is not done yet. He hits her with one last question. Was it actually fair when the upper constellations opened those deadly portals and randomly slaughtered humanity? The goddess freezes, gaping for a few seconds before looking down in utter shame. She summons 2 heavy spheres onto the golden scale. The human side violently slams down, proving the gods were completely wrong. She just stays quiet and sighs. Annoying, right? Tae-in gets incredibly frustrated by this. Alright, stick with me here. We're about to watch her literally fly off Earth and nuke every single invasion. Like a giant elephant hunting down humans, it stops dead in its tracks, and the humans finally turn around. Poof! Gone. Monsters everywhere just vanish into thin air. Yudorina finishes her epic sacred purification magic like a boss. Layla looks up as a blinding light covers the Earth. Kian-ma is shocked. The demonic energy is completely wiped out. Our main character just smirks. Expected nothing less from a constellation. Such a wild moment. Uduranai feels totally used right now, but our guy just completely brushes her off. To him, saving Earth was just a bonus round. The real prize, snagging this insanely powerful teammate for his crew. Suddenly, Udureni changes outfits, making the whole team blush hard. Tae-in stares, completely confused. She casually says she dropped the armor since the fighting is totally over. He panics, throws some transformation magic at her, and creates casual clothes, secretly thinking she looks absolutely gorgeous right now. But she is clueless. Why wear 0 defense gear? So she literally starts stripping again. He screams at her to keep it on. She just sighs, complaining that human logic makes 0 sense to her. Then the system chimes in, calling him Mr. Pervert. The other constellations are furious, screaming that he even corrupted the constellation of justice. Tae rolls his eyes. Let them be mad. He is ready to go crush them all. But hold on, watch closely here. The system says the Tower Master wants a personal meeting. Uduranai mentions rumors about the Tower Master. They say he caused this whole mess by handing crazy powers to terrible people. The system confirms it will escort him straight to the Eternal Night Dimension. Tae-in agrees to a little chat. But as the transfer starts, he yells, "Wait, he just got this amazing squad and leaving them behind would be a huge waste." Cheon-ma complains they are just being dragged along by him. Layla asks where they are headed. Tae-in totally plays dumb about it. He whispers to the system to hurry up. The teleport to the Eternal Night kicks in, and a massive light swallows the group. Riding that beam of light, the team instantly drops right outside a massive castle. Yoon is totally lost. Illian is dizzy. Tae-in smiles. This has to be the very top of the testing tower. Suddenly, the Tower Master speaks, welcoming the Constellation of Justice. He calls it an honor to host them in this ruined place. He reveals himself as Sugushi Nujo, the legendary Tower Master. It has been a very long time since he saw a group like this. Then his eyes lock onto the companions behind him. He demands to know how mere insects dared enter his sacred ground. Threatening to crush them, a terrifying aura explodes, shaking the whole squad. One girl literally cries for her mom while Iljin mumbles she just wanted a hamburger before dying. You and I both know what this means. Tae-in grins. This is their first real boss fight as a full squad. To our guy, this is literally just a video game raid. He smirks, ready for some serious fun. Layla asks if he is seriously fighting that monster. Yoon just wants to go home. Our main character tells them to chill out. If they just cooperate, they will win. Bam. Sugushi grabs him by the throat. Furious, he skipped floors. Tae-in jokes about getting beat up again. Sugushi violently slams him into the floor. Sick of the insults, the boss decides to list out every single one of Tae-in's flaws, calling him ignorant, incredibly arrogant, selfish, and totally stubborn. Irresponsible, vulgar, the worst kind of trash. Tae just sighs, wondering when this guy will finally shut up. Sugushi screams that he is completely selfish, blasting him with raw energy. That direct hit actually hurts our hero. Tae groans in real pain. Sugushi vows to make him suffer for all the years of agony he dodged, promising absolute hell. The girls on his team watch in pure shock. The boss pities the crew, saying they will die too. But Cheon-ma steps up, warning him that he is the one dying today. Boom, she teleports right behind him, unleashing her celestial demon destruction seal. The massive strike hits Sugushi, but he just brushes it off, impressed she survived that clash even without being a true transcendent. Such a shame. He tells her to curse the pervert who dragged her to her grave. He even pities Udarini for having to witness such a pathetic, miserable display. So what do you and I make of this? The Constellation claps back. This isn't how you treat a tower-clearing champion. Stick with me here, we are diving into pure chaos. Sugushi claimed he served the Constellations. To them, including Wrath, this guy was a massive threat, so he was fulfilling his duty. Wrath, our main character, immediately wondered about that specific constellation. Udarini admitted he had a point. Right then, everyone else was having the exact same dark thought. This was really going to be their last day. But Tae-in smirked. There was absolutely no way they were losing their lives today. He casually broke free from Sugushi's massive grip. The Tower Master lost his mind. How on earth did a mere mortal just escape his absolute authority like that? Our MC just called him entirely ignorant and arrogant. Because in epic battle stories like this, the protagonist always counterattacks after taking a few hits. He then unleashed his raw power straight at Cheon-ma. Shocked, she asked what that insane energy was. He just told her to never forget that terrifying feeling. Because if she ever felt like she was moments from death, it meant he was guaranteeing an absolute victory, especially when seeing those red system warnings. Udarini was completely mind-blown. A mere human fighting the almighty Tower Master with zero effort. Sugushi glared, finally admitting he underestimated the kid. But he made one fatal mistake. His companions were going to die. Sugushi launched a blast at them, but the protagonist instantly parried the lethal strike, mocking him for cunningly targeting his allies first. Sugushi was panicking. How did this kid get so ridiculously strong? He was easily 10,000 times more powerful. Our MC grinned. He finally got to say the legendary line. Watch closely, this is where it gets crazy. He admitted using only 1/1,000,000th of his power previously against that monster at the school window. After his awakening, he got so hyped up introducing himself that he purposely slapped a massive limit on his own strength. System alert, power limit released to 100%. Ilgin realized he could literally shatter continents, but he felt weak fighting Udarini. Tae-in casually apologized. This boss was way tougher than expected, so he could not save any of their screen time. Boom, he activates his shock hit skill, brutally piercing Sugushi twice. Impossible, the Tower Master panicked. But our guy coldly declared that Sugushi's stubborn and selfish reign was officially ending. The master desperately screamed at Miss Udarini. This was completely wrong, her powers came from him, she absolutely should not be able to surpass him. He shamelessly begged for his life. But Tae-in delivered a brutal punch to his face, calling the master completely irresponsible. He should clean up his own mess. Though saying that honestly made him sound like an annoying bastard too. While Sugushi screamed in pure agony, Sugi warned that if he died here, absolute chaotic destruction would swallow the dimensional tower. The universe's entire order would shatter. But our MC just mercilessly sliced him in half, saying this was super annoying. Spitting blood, Sugushi slowly faded away, promising Tae-in would regret this. Tae-in just cheered. He literally just defeated a super strong boss. I know what you are thinking. How did Tae vaporize a cosmic entity so incredibly fast that Udarini could not even intervene? Our MC just awkwardly apologized, since all of them must have been incredibly worried. His friends furiously shouted that he was totally irresponsible for risking their lives. Tae-in panicked, telling them to wait a second because he totally forgot to address the selfishness part. This would torment him forever. The girls just glared, thinking he was a truly selfish bastard. But our MC was already distracted by the system window. Reward unlocked. He defeated the first cosmic entity and earned the absolute right to ascend. Tae realized this was basically a massive power upgrade. A direct boost to his overall fighting capacity, and honestly it sounded incredibly fun. He wondered how many phases were left. But Udare stared in absolute horror. Did Tae even realize what he just did? Slaying the Tower Master made him a universal enemy to all constellations. The protagonist just tilted his head. Was he supposed to lose his life like Sugushi claimed? Udare immediately said no. Tae-in just smiled brightly. Then it did not matter if every constellation hated him because he had Udare as his ultimate ally. Flustered Udare demanded to know exactly since when that happened. Our MC smoothly changed the subject. He suddenly wanted to hunt down that constellation of Wrath the Tower Master mentioned before. Wait, was Tae-in seriously thinking about fighting the legendary constellation of Wrath next? The protagonist waved his hands, denying it. He just wanted to try talking things out first. The girl sighed in relief, while Yuna just reflected that he was a total idiot. Ilian proudly declared that her Tae-in would absolutely protect universal peace right alongside the Constellation of Justice, but for now, they really needed to go home. A blinding light hit the group once more. The system was finally teleporting them out of that chaotic tower. But space-time glitched. Tae-in and Udor-Ray totally bypassed the normal teleportation and randomly spawned in a completely different location. Tae-in asked where they were, but Udor-Ray froze. "You and I know this spells trouble." She recognized this place as the room of Huja Karuna, the Constellation of Wrath. Sweating heavily, the girls realized it was ridiculously hot in here. They had literally spawned right inside the center of an active volcano. Yunya just groaned, wondering why Tae-in constantly keeps bringing them absolutely everywhere. Tae-in tells the girls their presence gives him strength, but they just tell him to drop the weird talk. Layla actually buys it, making Yuna question her sanity. Then Huja Karuna starts laughing hysterically, completely shocking everyone in the room. Udina readies her armor. "Stick with me here because Huja Karuna calls them bold for bringing bugs into his domain." The massive god crashes down, absolutely detonating everything right in his path. He slams into Udina's blade, calling her a total fool. She struggles against his heavy strike, screaming out his name. The Constellation taunts her about their long reunion, but suddenly takes a massive fist to the face. Tae-in punches him hard, warning him to keep his hands off his friends. His entire team is absolutely stunned. Udina stares in pure shock, questioning how he suddenly got this insanely strong. Tae-in casually tells her to hold the thanks. He was just stepping in to save her before Huja Karuna could completely overwhelm her defenses. She explains that this constellation literally cannot control his insane rage. The guy was practically born to use brutal violence every single second. A flashback shows Huja Karuna appearing, asking if this is the target planet. The stunning landscape instantly caught his eye. He decided right then and there that this beautiful place was his new favorite. But then pure fury takes over. He gets insanely angry that he only just found this gorgeous world. He punches the ground with legendary force, shattering the entire planet instantly. Coming back to reality, Huja Karuna whines that he always gets this way when furious. Tae-in completely mocks him, calling the god an absolute idiot. Enraged, Huja Karuna screams, asking how a worthless bug dared to strike him. Boiling lava suddenly floods the area. Udina panics, realizing they are totally doomed since this entire dimension is connected to his mood. Watch closely now. If his anger peaks, this whole crater blows up. This lava is made from the obsidian of wrath, meaning it incinerates absolutely everything it touches. But Tae-in casually asks if rising lava is really that big of a deal. He decides he just needs to chill the god out right now, instantly activating his epic absolute zero magic. The raging constellation gets completely frozen solid, but shatters the thick ice just seconds later. Yuna cries that it is hopeless since he is the literal embodiment of wrath. But Tae-in completely ignores her, shouting that they are wasting time with too much exposition. Tae-in directly clashes fists with the furious god. Tae-in realizes this constellation is an absolute beast, sitting on a completely different power level than the last Tower Master. The god questions that freezing feeling and admits he kind of likes it, though he remains furious. Tae-in is confused, but suddenly the system forcefully activates his hidden empathy skill. Their minds instantly link together. Huja Karuna wonders what is happening. Udina screams for Tae-in to stop absorbing the god's dark emotions. But Tae-in casually brushes it off, saying he will try talking him down while their minds are fully linked. Huja Karuna feels entirely new sensations flooding his mind and admits it feels nice, but the rage keeps returning. Udina panics, warning that Tae-in is about to be completely swallowed by pure wrath. Yuna desperately asks what is wrong. Tae-in snaps out of it, realizing this feels totally wrong. He apologizes for ignoring messages and throwing the first punch, hoping to just talk things out peacefully. But instead, Huja Karuna throws a massive punch straight at his face. The god snarls that Tae-in talks way too much for a total failure. Hearing this, Tae-in gets confused. Grabbing Tae-in by the throat, the constellation claims his entropy value is just too pathetic. That is exactly why he plans to completely annihilate and reset him right here. You and I saw this coming. Udina grabs him, asking if this was a test, or just a tool to exterminate humanity. The god smirks, confirming her fears. Tae-in groans that this is incredibly annoying. He says they need to cut the heavy exposition before the readers get bored. With that, Tae-in drops the act and activates stage 1 of his ascension. A devastating planet-buster skill blasts the god backward. Tae-in claims this attack meant nothing because he is destined to be the main character of the greatest webtoon ever made. Sent flying through the sky, the god is totally baffled. How could a mere bug rival someone who surpassed 10 stars? Tae-in checks his reflection in a mirror. He notices his hair and eyes are totally different now he has unlocked the first purple stage. Furious Huja Karuna charges like a meteor roaring that he will absolutely end Tae-in's life right now. Tae-in just complains about all the shouting. Smashing his glowing fist into the god, Tae-in tells him to shut up. Huja Karuna panics, desperately blocking the strike, shocked that his full power just achieved absolutely nothing. Tae-in relentlessly pushes forward. He brutally shatters parts of the god's body, repeatedly yelling at him to stop screaming so much. Tae-in demands he just die quietly since this fight was supposed to be actually fun. With a final heave, he tosses the god aside, leaving him unconscious on the dirt. Udina watches in absolute disbelief, realizing a literal god just fell to a human. The entire cosmic order is collapsing. And here is where we leave it. The beaten god slowly rises, laughing like a maniac because he actually had fun. Stick with me here, because when a villain starts laughing like this, you and I both know we're officially entering a deadly phase 2. Huja Karuna smirks, claiming Tae-in's friends are already dead. But Tae-in just glares back, warning him to shut his mouth. He looks back. The girls have completely collapsed from the suffocating heat. Yudu-Rei explains that Huja Karuna's pure rage is literally feeding the heat. The villain just mocks them, asking why justice wastes time on insects about to go extinct. Tae-in easily deflects the villain's crushing aura, calling it total garbage. But Huja Karuna just laughs. Humanity's end is already in motion, and there's nothing Tae-in can do. A rage virus. Spreading across the entire planet. Tae-in freezes, demanding to know what he means. The villain promises that every single being on Earth will be infected, losing their minds and tearing each other apart until nothing is left. Tae-in's anger completely boils over. He screams Huja Karuna's name with absolute fury. Yudu-Rei yells that the volcano is blowing. They need to use teleportation magic to escape immediately. Tae-in winds up his fist for one last devastating strike, but the teleportation magic already kicks in. Now watch this closely. The volcano completely detonates as they shoot into the sky, with Tae-in fiercely cursing Huja Karuna. Tae-in shouts that they must reach Earth to stop this rabies virus. Udurraini yells back that she's already on it. Tae realizes this test on humanity isn't a fair fight at all, it's absolute slaughter. He wonders how this could ever be considered justice. A massive beam of light hits the sky, dropping them onto Earth. Tae quickly heals his team, apologizing because he blames himself for all of this. But then he spots a violently infected human right next to him. He dodges the vicious bite with ease, completely shocked by the madness. Over 100 zombies swarm them. Tae realizes the Constellation of Wrath's first trial is a literal zombie apocalypse. He thinks to himself, humans are purposeful beings designed to explore their surrounding world. Biologically, we are highly intelligent primates of the Hominidae family, defined by our brilliant minds. Using tools and complex language, humans build massive societal structures to interact and survive. But if that intelligence vanishes and society falls apart, they aren't human anymore. The only fitting name for them now is zombie. Thanks to this rabies virus, humanity just became brainless monsters. The girls stare at him, incredibly confused. Several rabid zombies lunge straight for Yunya, but Tae-in instantly steps in front. Saying this shouldn't be happening, he unleashes his electric current ability. The zombies get brutally electrocuted, thrashing wildly. Tae-in smirks, saying that's how you handle zombies and fix them. He casually asks Yun if she's completely okay. But she snaps, screaming at him to stop acting like this is just a video game. Tae tries brushing off her complaining, but out of nowhere, smack, she violently slaps his face. I know what you're thinking, but hear her out. She screams at him for constantly risking their lives just by dragging them around. Tae-in argues he only wants to save them, but she fires back. He shouldn't have dragged them into this hellish nightmare, leaving them burning and terrified of dying pathetically without seeing their families again. She demands to know if he understands that pure terror, knowing damn well he wouldn't want to suffer like that. If he was just doing this for fun, he could go straight to hell. To him, they were just props to show off his powers. He could easily handle this alone or properly protect them. Is this how he treats companions? Effortlessly, taking human lives without a second thought shouldn't be a fun game for him. Tae casually shrugs. That's just how zombie stories work. Un completely loses it. She screams that these people are just infected by a virus, meaning there's still a chance to cure them. She desperately orders Tae-in to save everyone. Tae just stands there in complete heavy silence. He replies, "Do you think I'd actually kill them? I only used an electric shock to paralyze them so they can be cured later." Tae just didn't want them complaining about him repeating the same boring pattern to instantly defeat every single enemy that appears. The girls just stare, wondering what the hell Tae-in means. Tae-in tells Unri he won't push it any further despite being annoyed. Suddenly, Oh screams a desperate warning about a zombie directly behind him. Tae-in spins around just as the zombie violently bites him casually, saying it startled him. He instantly uses magic to suspend the monster in mid-air, repeating that it actually scared him. Hwa panics about him turning into a zombie. But what do you and I think? Tae-in just casually calls it a tiny virus. You and I are about to watch the ultimate plot twist. Tae-in fired up his epic healing, but the wound just wouldn't close. He even tried the Seraphim's blessing, zero effect. Yudu and I stated there was no other choice. Since the virus held Constellation tier power, she couldn't intervene. He needed to slice off his own arm before absolute rage consumed his mind. But our protagonist was confused, asking what she meant since the rage was already hitting him. Yudu Reinai activated her blazing sword aura, but the protagonist desperately begged her to stop. As the main character getting infected, because he was way too overpowered, made zero narrative sense, moving the story forward became incredibly difficult. It honestly felt like a forced game patch to balance things out. Then roaring in absolute fury, his screams actively drew the other zombies near his location. Yudu Rina warned him, deeply regretting his new monster form. But Cheonma jumped in, begging her to spare his life. She claimed she could turn him back to normal first, and Iljin strongly agreed. Layla screamed that the zombie horde was closing in. Udarinai ordered Cheonma to step aside for cosmic order's sake. Cheonma prepared for a brutal clash, but Yunya jumped in, yelling they had zero time. They desperately needed a safe hideout before this pervert completely morphed into a full zombie. Iljin panicked, asking how they could escape this massive zombie horde. Yuna swore they would be totally fine, begging Udarina to help them reach a safe spot. With the undead swarming everywhere, our heroes finally locked themselves inside the school. Now watch closely. Udor and I locked Tae-in in an ethereal prison chair. With him secured, the girls frantically wondered what their next move should be. Layla felt terrible for Tae-in. She figured if they just killed Hua Karuna right now, the entire virus would magically vanish. Yudu Reni shot that down. It was impossible, as they were protected by the cosmic order. Constellations could never just simply die. However, there was exactly one brutal way to annihilate them. Cheonma analyzed Tae-in's delirious state, confidently declaring her acupuncture could fix him. She quickly struck several of his critical pressure points on Tae-in. Tae-in violently coughed up massive pools of blood, leaving Cheonma utterly shocked. Ilyan yelled that Tae-in was a wreck. Udor Rainey scoffed, demanding to know if they actually thought Constellation-level power could be fixed with cheap parlor tricks. Surprisingly, Tae-in claimed he actually felt amazing, as the blood flow to his brain was clearing up. Udor Rainey was stunned, while Cheonma arrogantly bragged. Layla screamed at Tae-in to snap back to reality, but he warned he was running out of time before madness took over. Why would the author even create a main character like this? Stripped of his powers, he pondered the writer's motives, until a sudden crazy realization hit him hard. You know exactly where this is going. He figured out the next episode's plot, dramatically warning them he would die. In an apocalypse, Manhwa, another protagonist, always shouts for his party to go ahead first. A crying blonde girl would complain about their old promise to survive until the end. But the green-haired guy would admit she was wrong, revealing a hidden bite mark. He would apologize profusely, begging her to be super careful. The girl would deny reality, and the Manhwa chapter would end. Remembering this, Tae cried. Even though the sacrifice was totally cliché, tears always fell. He decided he would leave a 10-star rating, commenting that schools simply don't teach this kind of pure, unselfish heroism and total spirit of sacrifice. He then went right back to slurping his instant noodles. Meanwhile today, Tae believed he had to act now. Before completely turning, he heroically declared he would sacrifice himself for everyone. The girls were totally confused. Tae kept ranting about it being the protagonist's final epic moment before zombification, but Layla forcefully called out to him. She bluntly asked why on earth he would sacrifice himself when surrounded by literal powerhouses. Tae tried to argue back, but Yunya totally cut him off, groaning about his dramatics. He needed to drop the martyr act. They were insanely strong fighters, not helpless fools who couldn't survive without his assistance. Tae realized this plot twist was ruined. Thinking about it, they were so insanely overpowered that regular zombies weren't even a real threat anymore. Plus, since all humanity was infected anyway, finding new survivors had lost its thrill completely. Honestly, if the ultimate goal was wiping out the zombies, they should just nuke everyone. He desperately needed to figure out this episode's true direction before going insane. Then Layla complained about hunger, and Cheonma realized she hadn't eaten either. Yoon agreed, she was starving right now. Suddenly the whole squad turned to stare directly at Iljin. He screamed in pure terror. Cheonma commanded him to sacrifice his life as emergency rations, while Ilgin desperately begged them to stay back. Sweating bullets, he told them to wait and follow him. Cheonma agreed, and Iljin quickly pointed out a crazy discovery. He found a massive stash of hamburger buns for everyone. Yunya looked disgusted, asking how they could eat that. So what do we make of this? Cheonma simply suggested they dig in, while Yuna noticed the burger was weirdly half-made. Stick with me here. Layla just asked if Iljin would forgive them for eating his friends, but the talking burger coldly denied it. So, without hesitation, the three girls devoured the meal. Coming from ancient China and medieval Europe, this modern corporate Korean food hits different. It is addictively delicious on a whole new level. Back inside, Udaranai checks on Tae-in. Struggling, he genuinely thanks her for holding him down. She brushes it off. No thanks needed. Going to see Huja Karuna was a massive mistake, and now he will just suffer until his dying breath. Our main character is completely lost right now. The Constellation refuses to let him fall. The cosmic game was totally unfair, and she vows to fix it right now. Tae gratefully acknowledges her vital support. She can endure the strain a bit longer. There has to be a way out, especially with his valuable companions ready to fight by his side. The girls casually stroll back in, praising the burger and joking it needed to be microwaved. Heavy silence fills the room. Then Tae-in snaps. He erupts in absolute rage, screaming in pure frustration. Yudu-Rei quickly forces him down. She warns that his sanity is slipping away as the virus fights back harder. Cheon-ma watches grimly. Hope looks dead, but she desperately needs this guy normal to regain her original martial body. Being stuck in this weakened physical state means her legendary abilities are seriously nerfed. Controlling her inner energy has become incredibly difficult. But suddenly, Cheon-ma senses something completely unexpected from afar. She locks onto a nearby house. There is an energy signature there. Someone totally untouched by the rage virus. Yudu-Rei calls that impossible. The virus infected every living thing and her cosmic senses never make a mistake. Don't blink, because Cheon-ma walks to the window, completely shutting down that logic. She insists a perfectly normal human is right there 2 kilometers away. If she listens closely, she can literally hear her breathing. Yudu-Rei stretches her senses outward, completely baffled by this mysterious new presence. Layla excitedly asks about other survivors out there. Yoon bluntly reminds her that the infected monsters are technically alive too. Udaranai tracks it. It is getting closer, but she has absolutely no idea what it is. Layla panics, realizing that Survivor could be in terrible danger. Suddenly, Tae violently erupts again, forcing the Constellation to suppress him. The Constellation screams a warning. His raging power is literally rivaling a massive cosmic entity. At this insane rate, he would destroy Earth all by himself. She has to stay behind to hold him back. The girls have to handle the rescue mission alone. Cheon-ma immediately vaults out the window carrying Iljin. Layla shouts her name. Yoon nervously asks if they are really just leaving like that and if the two of them alone can survive. Cheon-ma leaps over the dead city. Iljin asks why he was dragged along, and she admits she needs his knowledge of this modern world. The smugburger realizes they actually desperately need him. Landing right in front of a house, Cheon-ma locks onto the calm energy of a peaceful person hiding up above. Iljin confidently states that with her martial arts, zombies are absolutely no threat. He doubts anyone would casually open their door in this apocalypse, especially since this likely is not the main entrance. Unbothered by which floor it is, Cheon-ma pushes straight forward and effortlessly breaches into a room through the window. Iljin is completely baffled by her ninja moves. Cheon-ma scans the dark house, questioning if anyone actually survives here. Right behind that closed door, she clearly hears the steady breathing of someone completely untouched by the viral rage. I know exactly what you are thinking. A safe haven, but when she kicks open the door, it is just a crazy room plastered with webtoon posters. Cheon-ma mistakes the anime posters for mystical talismans. Iljin admits they look weird enough to be magic right as the figure in bed moves. Instantly, Cheon-ma charges her cultivator energy. Iljin frantically yells at her to hold on as the person slowly gets up. A tired girl just woke up from her nap. Iljin instantly falls head over heels, loudly declaring her an absolute legendary beauty. Completely disgusted, Cheon-ma violently slams him onto the floor. Meanwhile, the girl just stares in pure shock. Seeing a talking burger and a martial spirit, that is the kind of stuff that only happens in a manhwa. They freeze in shock. She is exactly like Tae. The girl geeks out, saying it feels like a literal webtoon scene. Cheon-ma seriously wonders if everyone in this country is completely crazy, which Iljin denies. She wildly celebrates, absolutely thrilled to witness a badass martial girl arguing with her burger. She happily introduces herself as Lyra. Iljin asks why she skipped school, baffling Cheon-ma. It turns out this girl is actually quite a famous legend locally. At school, she had a very unique nickname. Flashback to the classroom as the teacher distributes the exams. He tells the class president to drop the test on Nara's desk since she is fast asleep again. The president is totally confused. She is shocked because nobody ever sees Nara awake, yet somehow she effortlessly gets perfect scores on absolutely everything. So what do you and I make of this, the ultimate sleepy genius? She spent her entire school life sleeping and she happily confirms it. Death chaos, stick with me here. She realized today was the school's foundation day and Iljin explained that's exactly why nobody else showed up. Kaon-ma asked if Nar was seriously asleep while the gates opened and deadly monsters poured out. Nara muttered, this all felt like some crazy dream about hunters and portals, but Cheon-ma just grabbed her arm tightly, warning they had to leave right now. Nar begged to be put down, assuming Cheon-ma was exhausted. The cultivator just stared, noting Nar really looked exactly like Tae-in. Without hesitating, they flew straight toward the school, while a mysterious figure watched them from afar. The lurking figure smirked, calling the situation very interesting. Inside, Yunya glanced out the window, shouting that they were finally arriving. Kaon-ma touched down at the school, announcing she brought Nara along while quickly explaining the whole crazy situation. Lee Nara admitted her heart was pounding like crazy, instantly noticing the classroom was filled entirely with incredibly beautiful people. Yun immediately recognized Lee Nara, happily greeting her. But Layla just sighed heavily, warning everyone that Tae-in's dangerous situation was getting much worse. Uduinai stepped up, claiming they could stop the disaster. But right now, ending his life might literally be their only option. Lee Nara gasped, recognizing the tied-up protagonist. Ilyan demanded to know if she actually knew this pervert. Nar just whispered that Tae-in probably forgot her. They were childhood friends, and he was the one who introduced her to Mono. Lee Nara insisted this just had to be a dream for Tae-in to appear. Udurinai was shocked, questioning how Nar entirely dodged the virus. Nara guessed Uduinai must be the legendary Constellation of Justice she heard about earlier. She figured she was safe, simply because she was the owner of this wild dream. Yunya pointed out that Nara seemed totally confused. Layla argued she was only talking like that because her big crush showed up in the dream. Now pay attention, things get wild here. In this custom dream, the protagonist completely snapped, losing his mind and becoming a raging berserker. When absolutely nobody knew how to handle him, Nara stepped up. Yun frantically questioned what Nara was saying and what she planned to do. Throwing her arms around teen Nara begged her love to stop. She promised everything was fine now, hoping he would finally remember her. Uduinai screamed for Nara to back away from the dangerous berserker. Instead, Nar tightly shut her own eyes. Weeping, she told Tae-in to forget the pain, promising it would end. Heavy tears kept streaming down her cheeks, dropping right onto the protagonist's face. A single tear hit Tae-in's forehead, magically starting to purify that insane rage virus. Nar just refused to let go. Cheon-ma stared totally dumbfounded by the sight. Iljan muttered that this dramatic scene looked super familiar, trying to remember where she saw it. Uduinai was absolutely speechless, thinking this pure miracle was completely impossible. Through sheer affection, Nara actually started healing the broken protagonist. Tae-in slowly woke up, looking entirely lost. Nara explained that this exact method was the only way to save him. A genuine hug, and the warm tears of his childhood friend. Yet the confused protagonist simply asked who she was. Blushing intensely, Nara awkwardly introduced herself. Suddenly it clicked, and Tae-in recognized her as the girl always sleeping during class. Cheon-ma saw Layla literally losing her mind with pure jealousy. Uduinai quickly explained that Nara actually managed to cure the virus. Tae-in realized this normal girl, not even a constellation, suddenly arrived, and somehow completely fixed everything. You and I know the classic trope, right? He realized a childhood friend's hug and tears packed enough emotional power to solidify her role as his true love. The whole squad let out a huge sigh of relief. He sincerely thanked her for the save, but noticing her ripped clothes, he quickly told Nara to cover up. Nara knew this was just a dream, but she was still way too flustered to meet his gaze. Without wasting time, the protagonist officially added her into their party, making her the primary support. They desperately needed a smart girl like her to survive Karuna's brutal tutorial. Meanwhile, Uduinai quietly worried that a human canceling out constellation powers might actually be more dangerous than the pervert. The protagonist confidently smirked, saying as expected, fighting that bastard head-on was the only real option left. Nar just muttered that this was one incredibly realistic, detailed dream. Yunya instantly snapped back that this wasn't a dream. Earth's entire survival literally depended on them right now. Nara finally nodded. The protagonist ordered everyone back to Karuna's lair. However, Uduinai fired back, warning that charging in recklessly would only end in another pathetic failure. Tae-in crossed his arms, wondering what their next move was since Karuna was way too overpowered to beat in a straight fight. Confused, Nar interrupted the planning, demanding a full explanation immediately. The protagonist looked deeply at Nara, realizing she was easily the smartest person he knew. He promised to explain every single detail and then they'd form a counterattack. Meanwhile, across the ruined city, a bright flash of energy struck right at Karuna's twisted domain. Karuna just laughed like a total maniac. He found it highly annoying that the protagonist actually dared to return, mocking how their tiny squad somehow gained one more pathetic member. Tae-in sarcastically thanked the villain, admitting he was slightly annoyed earlier, but playtime was officially over. Furious Huja Karuna charged straight at Tae-in, screaming in pure anger. His deadly fist flew toward the protagonist, but Tae-in just stood there smiling. Trust me, we aren't done yet. A huge explosion hit the domain, forcing the girls to instantly raise a massive barrier. Stick with me, we are diving into absolute madness. Huja Karuna swings hard, but his fist misses Tae-in's face completely, all thanks to Udarini's protective justice barrier. Tae-in smirks, deciding to dial up the tension even more. This absolutely infuriates Huja Karuna. The angry god glares, demanding to know why Udarini is backing these pathetic insects against a mighty constellation like him. But Udarini fires back. She's not siding with them, she actually came here to protect him. Huja Karuna calls that pure nonsense and launches another brutal strike. But Tae-in doesn't flinch, bragging that her justice buff puts him on a constellation's level. Huja Karuna just laughs, calling the whole situation incredibly annoying. Suddenly, his necklace glows brightly, causing his power to skyrocket. Tae-in realizes this is the trigger for Huja Karuna's deadly second phase. Huja Karuna sneers, asking if this mortal really thinks he can rival a god. He challenges Tae-in to show his own true strength, not just borrowed cosmic tricks. Boom, Huja Karuna lands a devastating punch, instantly shattering the barrier. Their peaceful little standoff just exploded into a bloodbath. Tae-in gets sent flying while Udarini takes massive damage. She cries out, making Huja sigh heavily. Bleeding Udarini asks how he became strong enough to shatter her divine authority so easily. But Huja Karuna drops a bombshell: he hasn't gotten any stronger. Calling them pathetic insects, he asks a chilling question. Would they believe he's actually been holding his rage back? He's lived his entire life consumed by anger. Everything he ever tried to hold on to was completely destroyed by it. Ironically, the thing that pissed him off most was his own fury. He desperately wanted to control his own mind. That's exactly why he sealed his endless anger into this specific artifact, the Amulet of Rage. Now watch closely. He decides it's finally time to let his fury explode, releasing massive energy everywhere. Una nervously asks what's happening. All that red energy physically transforms into terrifying beasts. Crouching down, Huja Karuna orders his shadow monsters to butcher Tae-in. Tae-in trusts his team completely. Pushing his limits, he activates the first stage of Ascension. He triggers a replica skill, making a meta joke about saving the poor artist's hands while spawning hundreds of clones. Huja Karuna just laughs like a maniac. He tells the bug to try his best, since he's dying today anyway. Udarini slices cleanly through a monster's neck, but the beast instantly regenerates, sprouting 2 new heads. You see where this is going, right? Udarini realizes this fight is literally endless, and Nara declares their entire plan completely dead. Udarini desperately casts a glowing light magic. Panicking Nara suggests they retreat and bring Tae-in back here immediately. The Constellation of Justice wants to run too, but someone needs to stay behind and protect everyone. She blames herself, feeling intensely guilty for not sharing this crucial enemy intel earlier. Deciding to fix her mess, she charges forward, slashing the fiery lava snake with absolute max power. She casts her Cease Glow magic but gets brutally bitten. Suddenly, Cheonma steps up, crushing the snake with her celestial demon seal. Cheonma snaps, demanding they stop calling her the Constellation of Justice. Udarini looks back completely shocked. It turns out this massive beast is a serpent made of wrath obsidian, summoned purely by Constellation energy. Lilia steps up to fight too. Since Tae-in shared his power and Udarini buffed them, they actually have a fighting chance. The divine being watches, deeply impressed by humanity's incredible willpower to survive. Huja Karuna was completely wrong. Humanity is absolutely the noblest life form ever created in this universe. Boom, Huja punches Tae-in's face, roaring that he can't hide anymore. An infernal explosion instantly wipes out every single clone. Tae-in thought his main body was safely distanced. Sensing fatal danger, he desperately triggers his unique exclusion ability. Huja Karuna chokes a clone, growling that Tae-in is severely underestimating his raw power. The god demands to know why he isn't fighting back. Tae-in just flashes a cocky smile, claiming he didn't want to fight at all. Huja angrily asks what Tae-in means. Tae-in casually explains that since constellations never truly die, fighting is totally pointless. Instead, he's just going to force Huja Karuna to be his companion. Flashback to school, Udarini admits the logic makes sense, and Nara agrees it's a remarkably solid plan. Cheonma doubts a human leader can recruit a cosmic god. But Ilgun quickly points out Udarini is literally a cosmic being herself. Yoon asks for Tae-in's thoughts. He immediately says absolutely not. The girls blink, asking why. The protagonist explains that turning Huja Karuna into an ally just seemed way too weird. Trust me, this meta excuse is hilarious. He claims adding more characters makes the story chaotic, plus you readers just want an epic battle. The girls just stare, totally confused. Chioma nods, admitting she was totally against this crazy plan too. Listen up, you and I are jumping into absolute chaos. This monster wanted humanity wiped out and she wanted him dead by her own hands. But Udarina, she shuts that down immediately. Humans simply can't kill constellations. Layla asks if Udarina will fight for them instead. But Udarina drops a bombshell: combat between constellations is strictly forbidden. However, there's a loophole. If they recruit Huja Karuna as an ally, they could totally use his insane strength. Tae-in absolutely hates this idea. But Nar challenges him. Got a better plan, spit it out. Our MC goes dead silent, gears grinding in his head. Finally, he caves. No other choice here. He looks at Udarina and demands to know every single detail about Huja Karuna. Flash forward to the present, Tae-in looks this god in the eye and asks to team up, claiming his star was born special. Huja Karuna's answer: a brutal punch to Tae-in's face. Tae-in triggers Mirage Advance, claiming Huja Karuna was actually just jealous of the other stars. Flashback time. Everyone praised him as the absolute brightest star in the galaxy. He was supposed to ascend to a constellation in record time, but his twisted nature ruined it. Furious, Huja Karuna screams at Tae-in, "Who are you to judge me?" In the past, the other stars totally isolated him. He was too vulgar, too toxic, constantly causing massive problems for everyone around him. The isolation drove him crazy until someone finally called his name. Seek steps up, praising his twisted consistency. Seek officially crowns him the Constellation of Wrath, demanding he fulfill his dark mission just to keep the cosmic balance in check. For the first time ever, Huja Karuna actually felt recognized. But now he screams that this current feeling is awful and it's pissing him off. He'd been doing his cosmic job perfectly. Enraged, he pummels Tae-in, calling him a pathetic insect who's just pretending to understand his pain. Even while getting destroyed, our MC tells him to just let all that rage out. Tae-in promises to tank every hit. He swears he's a true ally who will never break or abandon him. Stick with me here. Huja Karuna actually pauses. Tae-in is begging internally, "Please work, I'm at my limit." Huja Karuna admits no one has ever said that to him. He calls Tae-in a pathetic bug, testing if he'll actually run away. Tae-in starts sweating bullets. He's definitely going to die here, but then he notices a hidden clue in the system text. Huja Karuna unleashes his ultimate hell explosion. Meanwhile, Layla violently stabs the multi-headed snake. She's panting hard as the whole squad stares down the massive beast. Back to the blast zone, Huja Karuna laughs, saying it feels so refreshing to finally unleash all that rage. Tae-in smirks and says, "No need to thank me." Huja Karuna is completely stunned that he's still breathing. How did this kid survive with 0 cards left? Tae-in chuckles internally. Yeah, we just call that main character plot armor. Brushing off the dust, Tae-in tells the Constellation he knows he's actually a good guy deep down. Huja Karuna scoffs, annoyed that Tae-in acts like a know-it-all. Tae-in drops the truth. The Constellation spread that rage virus to annihilate humanity. But when Tae-in looked closely, infected people were just angry, never actually attacking anyone. Totally different from your typical zombie story. The virus only spread when uninfected people attacked first, passing the rage right into their own bodies. You and I both realize what this means, right? His real rage came from pure despair, just desperately wanting someone to understand his frustration. He actively tried not to hurt anyone. He endured that burning isolation for ages, hoping humanity would eventually feel his pain and understand him. Carrying that burden alone must have been absolute hell for him. He constantly cursed his own twisted nature, hating who he was. He was drowning in self-doubt, wondering why he couldn't just be normal. He just wanted to live a simple life like everyone else. He knew deep down he could change, but breaking his own nature is incredibly hard. But guess what? He doesn't have to suffer alone anymore. After all that trauma, he finally has friends who actually see his true worth. Tae-in officially asks Huja Karuna to be his companion. Dead silence. Then Huja Karuna glares and mutters that feeling this vulnerable makes him absolutely furious. Smash Tae-in gets launched through the air, but doesn't even flinch. The Constellation screams he doesn't need friends, ruthlessly beating the absolute pulp out of our MC. Tae-in crashes hard into the dirt. Udarina screams his name in panic. Huja Karuna charges in for the final kill, but his fist violently smashes into the empty ground instead. Another Constellation begs him to stop while Layla desperately yells out for her fallen friend. Wild right, Huja Karuna admits he can't stay mad. Nar heals Tae-in, who laughs at this classic scene. Stick with me, we are jumping right into the aftermath. Yudo Rainey tells Huja Karuna to look around. He realizes where he is, eyes gleaming, and calls it beautiful. He laughs, noticing everything is completely frozen in place while Tae-in asks what he truly wants. Tae-in extends his hand. He offers Huja Karuna a spot as his companion. Staring up at the sky, the fallen enemy actually agrees to join him. Our MC smiles, saying it was the right choice. Honestly, he was getting pretty sick of how tragically this whole story had been playing out lately. He was totally counting on him. But wait, Tae-in reaches out and his hand phases right through. Hooja Karuna sighs, saying they might not be teaming up after all. Yudo Rainey shouts in pure confusion. What is happening? Hooja Karuna explains the harsh truth. When constellations lose their core purpose, they just vanish. His target is gone. His rage is gone. And now he is literally fading away. Tae-in frantically asks what he means. Instead of answering Hooja, Karuna just hands over his necklace, telling our MC to take it. This is no ordinary item. It is Hooja Karuna's Amulet of Rage, an epic artifact, storing countless years of his pure, condensed fury. He promises this will help Tae-in on his journey. But Tae-in refuses to accept this ending. He demands answers, insisting the constellation needs to come with them. Hooja Karuna just lets out a soft laugh. He actually apologizes for calling Tae-in a worm. He finally finds an unbreakable bond only to vanish right after. Yeah, he admits he is incredibly irritated by how this played out. Tae-in screams his name. Suddenly, Yudo Rainey swings her sword straight at his neck. He barely dodges. Yudo Rainey glares, growling that she never should have let him live. Now pay attention because things just got crazy. A constellation vanishing breaks the entire cosmic order. The universal balance system just literally labeled Tae-in a massive threat. The rest of the crew immediately shouts at her to stop and wait. Yudo Rainey apologizes, prepping a fatal strike. But out of nowhere, a hand grabs her bare blade, telling her to hold on a second. She instantly recognizes him, Oshiroi, the Constellation of Fun. Tae-in stares, realizing this guy with fox-like eyes gives off an insanely powerful aura. She demands to know why he is here. Oshiroi just tells her to chill out. He is absolutely amazed Tae-in tried recruiting the Constellation of Wrath. He even claps, congratulating our MC for scoring such a legendary god-tier artifact. But getting to business, the King of Constellations sent a decree. Tae-in waves his hand, asking what the message is. The decree is massive. They want to perform the divine ceremony for the human Tae-in. Yudo Rainey gets visibly pissed off while the others are confused. Oshiroi drops the bomb. It is an official invite to become a constellation. Basically, they want him to join their little elite club. Tae-in scoffs, telling him not to make him laugh. Constellations literally treat humans like cattle for their goals, and they just tried to kill him. Oshiroi raises his hands, telling Tae-in to relax. Not every constellation shares that mindset. Sure, the system is totally messed up right now. But Oshiroi leans in, asking if Tae-in is seriously going to reject a massive god-tier power boost. You and I knew he wouldn't bow down, right? Tae-in coldly refuses. Oshiroi grins, expecting exactly that. Oshiroi has been watching this guy for a while. As someone who values pure entertainment, how could he look away? It is way too fun to ignore. But here is the real problem, it is not just him. Every other constellation is watching Tae-in now. Taking down Hooja Karuna put a massive target on him. Tae-in aggressively tells Oshiroi to get lost. The constellation just laughs, apologizing but admitting he cannot wait to see this crazy game play out. Oshiroi mentions he already talked with the king. He will deliver the message that Tae-in completely rejected the divine ceremony offer. But he leaves a warning. Prepare yourself. From this second on, every single constellation, including the 12, Zodiacs is officially his enemy. Tae-in pauses, questioning what the 12 Zodiac houses are, and Oshiroi nods. He explains the hierarchy. Out of countless stars, these are the absolute brightest, handpicked by the king himself. These 12 elite beings sit at the very top. Any single one of them holds enough raw power to wipe out universal life. Tae-in sweats a little. So 12 literally invincible gods are now hunting him. Oshiroi smirks, saying he can subtract one from that list. The Constellation of Justice is already fighting right beside him. Shocked, Tae-in looks over. Wait, Yudo Rainey is actually one of the 12 Zodiacs. She nods, confirming it. Before she ever became the Constellation of Justice, her true title was Yudo Rainey of Libra. She ranks 7th among the Zodiacs. Tae-in is blown away, realizing he has been traveling with an absolute powerhouse all this time. Tae-in notices the specific mark she carries. Oshiroi confirms all constellations have them, though every pattern is totally unique. Oshiroi says he saw her fighting Wrath. At this rate, she will definitely lose her elite Zodiac seat. Trust me, you and I are not ready for what happens next. Stick with me here. Yudenai claims titles mean nothing to her. She just wants cosmic order, and she would toss away her rank in a heartbeat. Omozoroi smirks, noting she literally cannot take a joke. Our MC asks if the guy is done talking. The Constellation of Fun just grins, wondering what he wants. Omozoroi points out that Tae-in is exactly like him. So the MC better put on a good show to keep him entertained. Cheon-ma steps up, leaking pure demonic energy. He has been craving an opponent like this and promises to rip Omozoroi apart. Omozoroi playfully begs him to stop using such scary words, pretending to be absolutely terrified. Cheon-ma unleashes his ultimate strike. Tae-in is stunned, but Omozoroi just laughs at the weak attempt. With one simple flick, Omozoroi shatters the dimension. Udinai barely teleports them out as the entire planet detonates. Mid-warp Udinai checks on Cheon-ma. Without the sheer protection of justice, that insane blast would have instantly wiped him out. The girl replies that dying to a god-tier fighter actually sounds incredibly fun. Now pay attention. Omozoroi hijacks their teleportation. He totally agrees with her, asking where they are going because humans are fascinating. He asks why Tae-in is acting so mad, especially since he literally just saved them. Our MC wonders if this guy could actually tank a direct hit from Huja Karuna. Omozoroi declares he protects whatever is fun, which means he is backing the MC. He will stop the other constellations from jumping him. After all, he is Capricorn Omozoroi, ruler of the 10th of 12 legendary houses. Then he leans in and whispers a secret directly to him. He laughs, saying things are getting exciting and he has massively high hopes now. Shoving a small flute into his hand, he says to play it whenever he wants to mess around. With a final wave, he vanishes entirely. The MC stares at the random flute as they finally crash back to Earth. Udinai groans, saying dimensional travel never gets easier. The MC is frustrated by the crazy pacing, realizing he never even dealt with Huja Karuna. Udinai formally apologizes for attacking him earlier. He brushes it off, but she insists that he has truly suffered way too much. Admitting her absolute arrogance in judging him, she decides to head back to the sanctuary for proper orders. Meanwhile, Cheon-ma reverts to her base form to start training. Lyra simply asks what his next move is. While our guy thinks it over, Iljin suddenly tells the whole group to look down. They look down at the city, watching normal people just going about their daily lives. The rage virus is completely gone. Iljin smiles, saying he actually saved the world. Tae-in thinks for a second, then bluntly declares the team disbanded. Iljin is shocked, but the MC agrees they should all return to normal life. He admits he still did not finish everything alone despite his title. Hamburger looks completely confused. He always claimed he did absolutely everything alone. You saw that coming, right? The system screen suddenly pops up. Iljin jumps while Tae-in is amazed he can actually see the interface too. A massive wall of text drops, and our MC bluntly states he refuses to read anything over 4 lines. The system flashes a penalty warning for killing Huja Karuna. He sighs, asking what the punishment is this time. Are they taking his powers away, or throwing him into some insane dimensional prison lockup? The system reveals he and his crew are under heavy surveillance. He cannot block constellations anymore, and must participate in their deadly trials. The rest of his squad gathers around to read. Tae-in points at the floating status window, while one of the girls asks what a system even is. She points out that the word companions definitely means everyone standing right there. The screen confirms it. He immediately demands to handle the burden alone, telling it to leave his friends out of this mess. But the system brutally calls him completely ridiculous. It scolds him for treating it like a servant, causing endless problems, and demands he finally stop ignoring every single message longer than 4 lines. Tae-in awkwardly asks if system interfaces are always this painfully sassy. Udinai chimes in, stating that a constellation like her should naturally join these new trials. The system agrees, ominously warning that they will definitely regret this. But first, for crushing the Trial of Wrath, a massive reward is incoming. Our MC is genuinely caught off guard. And that's where we leave it. Hanging with his annoyed team today. Stick with me because things are crazy. Tae is on his knees, begging the crew to stay. Cheon-ma is absolutely done, ready to end the protagonist right here, but Layla steps in. Yud Rainey speaks up. This is a massive problem. They have zero clue when the next brutal trial drops, so splitting up is suicide. Yun quickly apologizes. Honestly, her mind is completely elsewhere right now. She is going absolutely crazy with worry and just needs to see her parents immediately. Layla tries to comfort Yun, and Lainara suggests hitting up her place first. Tae suddenly realized the protagonist had only secured his own family while ignoring everyone else. So he calls it they are heading there right now. They seriously needed a break. Back home, Yun immediately rushes into her crying mother's arms, who is just thanking the heavens she survived. The protagonist awkwardly steps back, while Yun's mom urgently calls her husband with the incredible news. Her father rushes in. With pure chaos destroying the streets outside, he realizes this guy must be the one who protected his little girl. The protagonist modestly admits it was something like that. He feels awkward taking credit, but her dad is just endlessly grateful. Tai quickly breaks down everything that happened. Her father is completely mind-blown. Saving all of humanity, the protagonist is an absolute legendary hero. Yun's dad is thrilled she has such a powerful friend. While the protagonist zones out, Lainara points out their bizarre outfits, asking if they are really wearing that. Yuna agrees. No way is she keeping the creepy stuff that pervert handed out. Layla wonders how an old factory outfit is so durable, while Yude Rainey is totally confused by the basic concept of clothing. You and I know his fashion sense is terrible. He asks if his custom clothes are really that bad. Yuna sighs, admitting they fit, and asks Cheon-ma to change. But Cheon-ma glares. He would literally rather burn in hell than wear that trash. The tension drops as Yoon's mom announces dinner is ready, asking her daughter to check the oven. The hot meal hits the table. Tae's pumped Iljun questions her mom's cooking skills, while Layla simply takes in how incredibly peaceful this house feels right now. Yoon's mom casually asks her husband to set up the big table in the living room. She totally did not expect this giant crowd of survivors, but she warmly tells everyone to stuff their faces and ask for seconds. The group is genuinely stunned by this kindness. Layla politely gives thanks for the meal, while Cheon-ma blankly asks what a fork is. The protagonist praises the incredible taste. Meanwhile, Yun's dad is already plotting, thinking this hungry hero would make the perfect son-in-law. Her mom explains it is lasagna, Yoon's absolute favorite. Yoon immediately turns bright red, complaining that she totally did not make it just for him. Cheon-ma bluntly states she could be a pro chef. Lainara just chuckles at the classic tsundere energy. Yun shyly admits that growing up her ultimate dream was to become a chef. That is why she takes cooking so insanely seriously. The entire crew shares a warm, amazing meal, laughing together. Iljun honestly wonders if food just tastes better when you survive a death game together. Time easily slips by, and the huge feast finally ends. Tae drops a massive thank you for the epic food. Yoon's mom smiles until a strange, chilling voice echoes through the room, complaining the dish was a bit too salty. Tae completely freezes up. When did she get here? Yude Rainey instantly recognizes her. Now pay attention, this is where everything changes. It is the Constellation of Cuisine Oishakunar. The protagonist demands to know why she crashed dinner. She smirks, calling it an obvious question. She came specifically to bring the spicy flavor of the tests. Tae grips his weapon, asking if they are fighting right here, shouting for Yoon's dad to get back. But Oishakunar waves it off. She is absolutely not a combat constellation. Honestly, she has just always been super curious about the meals these lower beings eat. Her deadly new trial, he has to cook a masterpiece that satisfies her elite taste, using super rare ingredients he must hunt down himself. Tae loses it. Another trial already, why the hell should they play along? Oishakunar glares, telling him to feel extremely lucky. If the constellation of Fun Amaroi had not randomly suggested this, his entire crew and all of humanity would already be dead. If he fails her cooking test, game over. The other gods will descend and humanity is finished. So she generously grants him exactly 1 week to prepare. He just needs to ping her through the system when the meal is ready. With a quick goodbye, she instantly vanishes into thin air. Yoon's terrified mother asks what just happened while Yoon yells about cooking for literal space gods. The protagonist frowns, knowing his powers cannot cook at all. But then a brilliant, crazy idea suddenly hits him. He turns to Yoon's parents, casually dropping the news that they must leave again to save the world. Her dad grabs his shoulder, putting the entire future of humanity and his precious daughter in his hands. Yoon screams at her dad out of pure embarrassment. Outside, she immediately asks what his insane plan is. Tae remembers him summoning Layla. The protagonist smirks, declaring he will summon a master chef from his dimension. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see this. Stick with me here, we are about to jump into a brand new dimension. The girl asked what that even meant. Our MC explained his wild plan. He'd teleport everyone to a realm packed with the best ingredients across space and time. Flash, he warped his crew to a sunny spot. He slowly opened his eyes. Cheon-ma asked where they landed this time. Ilgan looked stunned, asking what was right in front of them. Our MC smirked. What else? It was obviously a dragon. And this massive beast, it marked the true start of their journey to other worlds. The dragon unleashed a deafening roar. Lainara absolutely panicked. Layla and Un groaned about facing yet another giant monster. Then, that huge dragon blasted pure fire straight at them. He casually mentioned having business to handle. Then he took that massive, fiery dragon breath head-on and blocked it without even breaking a sweat. Tae sighed. Too easy. He got ready to strike, literally obliterating the dragon with one tiny flick, muttering that his power control was a bit off. Then he casually rewound time itself. The newly revived dragon, completely and utterly bewildered. Our MC grinned, saying he'd actually love to tame a dragon. Panicking, the massive beast desperately begged him to wait a second before killing it. The dragon shapeshifted into a human, opening his eyes with total sadness. He apologized, pleading for his life, though Tae-in groaned that the guy's weird expression totally didn't match his desperate words. He introduced himself as Dasos, the 14th guardian of this ancient forest. After that scary entrance, Tae-in called this whole situation totally anticlimactic. Confused, Dasos asked if he was actually a hero. Our MC just nodded. Yep, he was the classic student from another world, fully destined to be the great hero. Dasos gasped, asking if he was the child of prophecy. Tae-in shrugged, admitting that yeah, that exact cliché setup was happening. The dragon explained everything. 50,000 years had passed since a massive dragon clan prophecy was created, handed down generation after generation. Now pay attention here. In 5 days, 2 moons align. 7 strangers hit the light pillar. But wait, there are only 6 of them. Our MC nodded, getting the gist. Basically, they just do the quest stuff and save this world from the evil demon king. Dasos blinked, surprised that he already knew the prophecy's details. Tae waved it off. Whatever. He just asked what the most delicious food here was. The dragon stood utterly speechless. Then evening fell. Our MC laid it out. The Iwani continent had 4 legendary delicacies. First, a legendary world tree flower blooming once every 1,000 years. Eat it and you get 10 whole years of pure vitality. Second, the sharp spines of a lava sea urchin, a crazy beast born from ancient wars. Third, dragon eggs, the ultimate fantasy food. And finally, the hidden leg meat of the paradise rabbit. Those were the 4 epic ingredients. Tae casually asked if Dasos could just hand over his eggs. Dasos called him incredibly rude. The MC then wondered why they couldn't just summon everything right now. He actually started casting the magic to spawn the ingredients, but Dasos desperately intervened. Picasso shouted he couldn't summon those things here. Tae-in just shrugged. They were only ingredients, the dragon frantically explained. The lava sea urchin lived in deep underworld caverns beneath the Demon King's castle, enduring absolutely massive lava pressure. You and I both know what happens next. Summon it here, boom. The pressure drop causes an instant massive explosion. Unfazed, the protagonist asked about grabbing the other rare ingredients. Dasos sighed. They were rare for a reason. The world tree hadn't bloomed in 30 years, and that tasty paradise rabbit completely hunted to extinction for its flavor. Plus, Dasos was never giving up his eggs. Tae-in simply told Dasos to chill out. The dragon snapped, asking why they even needed this stuff, and if these crazy people could actually call themselves the Heroes Group. Our MC calmly replied, they were saving the world their own way, not really expecting Dasos to get it at all. But honestly, he really wanted his help. Dasos realized this guy was completely serious. Dasos closed his eyes. If Tae-in truly was the prophecy boy, it was his sacred duty to assist. First target the world tree and that explosive lava sea urchin. The elves guarding the world tree could actually be a massive help in dealing with the urchin. They'd have to dig deep into the underworld caverns and literally search through molten lava. Sure, they might crash into the Demon King's army, but with their insane strength, easy money. Dasos suggested they lock down these 2 epic ingredients first. Our MC nodded. Sounded like a solid plan. They would just split up into 2 teams. Leonara asked which team he was joining. Tae-in calmly replied both he would just split himself into 2 clones. Dasos questioned this wild move, but Tae-in thought to himself, in these typical setups, one side always hits massive trouble and ruins everything. The World Tree Squad Uni Lyra N, and the Dragon Dasos. The Demon King Squad was Iljan Cheon-ma and Yudo Renee. Ready to see this get wild, the first group entered the forest. Stick with me, you and I are diving into a wild fantasy where our guy questions Dasos about avoiding the Demon King's castle. Dasos calls the Demon King pure nightmare fuel, but Tae-in points out the dragon's totally unfazed face says otherwise. Suddenly, Dasos drops the reveal. Welcome to Silent Hill, the legendary hidden city where elves fiercely protect the ancient world tree. Leonara is absolutely awestruck by the view, while our hero thinks this massive tree looks straight out of Norse mythology. Suddenly, glowing magical arrows shoot right at them. But Tae just deflects everything with a single flick of his wrist, joking that this is one hell of a welcome party. An angry elf drops in, spitting absolute venom. He calls humans dirty tricksters. Furious, they dared step near the world tree, and promises they won't leave this forest alive. Dasos barks at them to stand down while Tae-in just chuckles, calling the angry little elves totally adorable. Suddenly, an elf gasps, recognizing the dragon's voice. That's when Dasos drops the bomb. This guy is the child of prophecy. The elves immediately call bluff on that. A mere filthy human being, their legendary chosen one, no shot. Tae takes instant offense to that whole mere human comment. Hopping down, the elf insists Tae-in's pathetic race could never hold that title, claiming Dasos lost his mind. Confused, Tae asks if these two actually know each other. Dasos sighs, introducing this hothead as Beldor, captain of the guard and literal prince of the elves. Beldor calls the shots around here. They definitely need him on their side, but man, his attitude sucks. Beldor starts ranting about how dirty and stupid humans are, until he suddenly locks eyes with Layla and her absolute breathtaking beauty. Instantly, the elf prince is completely head over heels. You and I need to watch closely here. Meanwhile, Tae-in feels a terrifying aura. Far away, the Demon King is actually watching their every move. The Demon King grins, highly amused. Back in Silent, the elves serve food. Laenora politely thanks them. Tae-in jokes about having a dessert stomach while Layla happily asks what this delicious fruit is called. Blushing Beldor calls it a crispy feather, totally thrilled that she actually likes it. Dassos whispers that seeing the hardcore racist Beldor simping for a human is wild enough to go down in the history books. The smitten elf prince asks Layla what she needs, promising the elves will do everything possible to help the woman of prophecy. Tae steps in, grabbing the prince's hand to thank him, explaining they need the world tree flower. Beldor snaps, ordering Tae-in to remove his filthy hands. Tae-in glares while Laenora quickly calms him. Beldor bluntly reveals bad news. If they want that specific flower, there are absolutely 0 left and it won't bloom again for 30 years. Layla desperately asks if there's any other option. Tae-in casually suggests that if he messes with the world tree, it might work. Hearing this total disrespect, the elves instantly draw their weapons. Dassos yells to lower weapons while the elves accuse them of wanting to plunder the tree. The dragon warns Tae-in to watch his big mouth here. Tae apologizes, explaining his world is literally being destroyed right now, and without this flower he's totally helpless. Beldor doubts he's the actual prophecy hero while Layla looks at him with pleading eyes, asking if another path even exists. I know you and I see it, the elves are completely hypnotized by her. Beldor fake coughs to recover, claiming their great sage must know something. When they finally meet the old sage, he drops a bombshell. They ate every single flower already. It bloomed over 1,000 years ago, and he mocks Tae-in for expecting to find one now. But he laughs, saying if these fragile humans somehow survive another 30 years, they might get lucky and see it bloom. Tae-in asks if there's any fast track, and Nar sharply reminds him that Osage Nar only gave them a strict 1-week deadline. The old guy starts bragging about drinking tea made from the petals when he was young, swearing he remembers the taste perfectly after 700 years. He calls the flavor absolutely divine, like the forest of vitality itself blessed his soul. He talks about how insanely fresh the flower was, smugly asking if the humans are feeling envious. Yoon questions if this guy is truly their wisest elder, but Theonil warns them not to even approach the tree, since they might not be the chosen ones. The elder flexes that his staff is a world tree branch. He tells Tae to look closely before leaving, joking he can visit in 30 years if he survives. Beldor glazes the elder, claiming he taught them everything, while Dassos groans, muttering that being annoying is not a real achievement. The old man mocks Tae-in's ignorance. In response, Tae-in just straight up snatches the staff from his hand. Beldor panics and Yoon yells, "You can't just steal a staff." But Tae-in simply activates his lightning growth skill. "You and I just witnessed magic, the staff blooms." Dassos is stunned. "Alright, stick with me." Tae-in figures since they love the world tree so much, giving them another one the exact same size would be perfect. Muriel asks how that is even possible. Tae-in casually explains it only blooms once every 1,000 years, sprouting several flowers right at the top. The elves absolutely lose their minds. They celebrate, praising the hero of prophecy for single-handedly saving their entire race. Tae-in just shrugs. Skipping 6,000 years is one thing, but 1,000 years, honestly that was nothing special. Muriel completely drops to her knees, completely stunned. This was straight up legendary. Right then, they witness a literal miracle from the gods. Tae-in announces they officially secured the World Tree's seed, smoothly shifting focus to check on how the Demon King's strike team is doing. Cut to the other side. Kim Il-jin absolutely obliterates a demon with one charge. The dying monster cannot believe the 4th Heavenly King Barachalanel just got wiped out by some random human. Kim Il-jin just sighs. For a Demon King's gatekeeper, that was seriously disappointing. Tae-in mentions that Kim Il-jin really has some crazy charisma, making the guy totally beam at the compliment. The girls just stare blankly without reacting until Tae-in suddenly cheers. The gate is finally opening. Yakum is sweating. Even Barachalanel, a beast who could casually solo 10 dragons, just got completely destroyed in seconds. That seriously shook Yakum, another one of the 4 heavenly kings. Sure, he was the weakest. Tae-in completely interrupts him, nodding and saying he totally understands the poor demon's horrible situation. Yakum tries to act tough, calling it interesting, but his confidence is totally crumbling against Tae-in. Tae-in just laughs, joking that the demon is baring his teeth just to hide his obvious fear. Cheon-ma charges his power, smiling. He says it looks fun and tells them to proceed. But Tae warns him not to speak so casually, that is basically a massive death flag. Furious that these fools are completely ignoring him, Yakum desperately activates the dark power in his hand. Boom, Cheon-ma retaliates with one lightning-fast slash. Only a severed demonic arm hits the floor. Cheon-ma coldly states the demon really should not have provoked him. Even the demon lord cannot be this pathetic. Stepping into the castle, Tae casually notes the gloomy decor, wondering out loud if the next celestial king is hiding around here. Now watch closely. Suddenly, a deafening crash echoes through the dark castle. A chained woman appears out of nowhere, grinning. She welcomes her dear brother, mocking that he made it all the way to the Demon King's castle, but this is his absolute limit. She dramatically introduces herself as the Scythe of Chains, only to get instantly smacked in the head by Kian Ma. Down she goes. One hit. The girl just sighs, wondering what is wrong with these pathetic enemies. She is literally bored to death right now. It is a total existential crisis. Dealing with these incredibly trivial life forms created by the constellations is just exhausting. The main character notes that only cosmic entities could actually challenge them now. Suddenly a dark voice laughs, asking if that is really all they have. Shockingly, the defeated woman's broken body starts floating up. The other dead celestial kings also rise from the ground, fully transformed into gruesome zombies. Valletta smirks, revealing his true power as the absolute strongest celestial king. An immortal zombie army. You see this coming, right? He demands they kneel, but the main character instantly spots the trick. These monsters just keep reviving, no matter how many times you kill them. So the main character calmly activates his simultaneous conjuration ability. Dimensional exile portals instantly open up, trapping Valletta above and below. The exact same fate swallows the other celestial kings. Valletta screams, asking how this is even fair. Tae-in just snaps the portals shut coldly, hoping they find peace in the void. He casually wonders if they can finally head to the ocean of lava, right beneath the underground cavern. The rest of the insanely overpowered squad nods. That is exactly what they came here for. They stroll through the dark castle without breaking a sweat, though the main character starts wondering if they took a wrong turn toward the cave. He thinks the demon lord might have already shown up, figuring they should quickly wipe him out too. But Udarina yells to wait. Suddenly the demon lord commands them to kneel. The entire group is forced to the ground. Tae-in struggles against the heavy pressure while Udini panics, asking how he is even here. The demon lord smirks, saying it is obvious. This is his castle after all. He reveals his true identity, the Constellation of War Zeta Ishoros. Flashback to moments earlier on the road. Dasos decides to warn the team about the infamous 4 Heavenly Kings. Tae-in completely brushes it off, saying spoilers ruin the fun. Kim Il-yun just shakes his head, amazed at how weirdly casual this hero acts. The dragon gets dead serious. He just needs to warn them about one thing. The Demon King is terrifyingly strong. For thousands of years, countless hyped-up heroes have challenged this exact Demon King. Every single one of them failed miserably. Not one victory. And wildly enough, despite his insane power, he strangely never attacks the human world himself. Tae-in just yawns, saying boss types are always like that. He promises he will easily handle it when the time comes. Snap back to reality. The main character is pinned down. Tae-in grits his teeth, asking how Yudu Rainey actually recognizes this monster. Shaking the girl, drops the lore. He is the absolute strongest constellation, a beast who ended the ancient wars with raw combat power alone, claiming a top 12 seat. Trust me, you and I are not ready for this. He is the exact reason they literally banned gods from fighting. Stick with me here. You and I are about to meet a villain who literally plays Demon King just because he loves war. But the Constellation Council stepped in, entirely banning him from joining the battlefield. So what did he do? Built a whole planet trapped in endless conflict. Watching his own creations slaughter each other brought him pure joy. Plus, from those who actually survived this living hell, he harvested massive amounts of negentropy, way stronger than anywhere else. So he crowned himself king and created that dimension. Tae-in was furious. He stood right up, asking if he always threatened lives, swearing to wipe him out. Zeta dared him to try. Surviving the previous test had just unlocked Ascension Level 2, making things interesting. Our boy activated his Divine Verdict skill, making Udini scream, it was overkill. Dozens of blazing angels rushed Zeta, but the guy just shifted his weapon into a shield. He blocked every hit effortlessly, then Zeta asked if that was Light's absolute strongest skill. Sure, it was impressive enough to nuke the surroundings. Then his shield morphed right into a halberd. He was totally hyped to battle the hero of prophecy, intrigued by rumors of a mere human who could erase entire constellations. And now that very legend was standing right in front of him. Watch closely now, because this gets tense. Udo Rainey stepped in, demanding he wait since they were still taking the gastronomy test, so no interfering. Zeta shrugged, claiming he didn't want to interfere, but pointed out they crashed his castle first. But since she brought the whole thing up, Zeta recalled a rather interesting rule a Mozoroi made. Back in the day, he gathered the constellations, declaring intense interest in this newly awakened human. They all wanted to test him and steal his negentropy. But here is the catch: if they all attacked together, humanity would literally vanish in a second. So they kept it fair. They lined up in the exact order of who spoke up first to claim him. asking if anyone had a problem with that. Terrified of Omoziroi, everyone agreed, which meant Zeta got shoved way back to number 389 in line. Udo Rennie clarified they only came for ingredients. Zeta laughed, saying as the Dimension Master he could spawn anything they wanted. The two shared a look. Tae-in requested lava sea thorns, and Zeta asked how many. Our guy asked for the absolute max, and Zeta agreed. Instantly, dozens of lava thorns appeared. He then casually asked what else. Tae-in pushed his luck, asking for dragon eggs and paradise rabbits. Boom, dozens spawned right on the spot. You and I are both thinking what an insane cheat code, but Zeta just told him to finish testing so they could fight. The protagonist paused for a second, then a massive confident smirk grew across his face. He promised to return for that duel, while Kim Il-yun whispered the Demon King was shockingly nice. Zeta warned him not to die, and Tae-in smirked back. Cut to the Elfland, our boy was fuming. Finding such incredible food this late made him ridiculously mad, while the others literally cried eating the mystic flowers. Layla praised the raw taste, drooling over how good it would be cooked, just as the backup squad finally arrived. They stared in shock. Picasso swore those things were extinct. Tae-in's clone asked the original if he really bagged all this loot at once, dying to know his secret farming spot. The clone gave a quick nod. Picasso's was mind-blown seeing such legendary ingredients piled up. He asked if Tae-in actually killed the Demon Lord, and Therial proudly said it was classic hero of prophecy behavior. Chaeyeon-ma was bawling over a world tree flower, while Layla hugged a rabbit. The elves hoisted Tae into the air, chanting their hero's name. Tae just wondered if they thought he already won. Meanwhile, Yoon asked how they were going to cook this. Thuriel got defensive, asking why Yuna stared at him. He was a history buff, not a master chef. All eyes shifted to Yunya, who admitted she had zero clue. Dasos suggested finding Akoni's absolute best chef. He wasn't entirely certain, but a royal chef could probably handle anything they threw over. Yudraini nodded, and Tae-in agreed they should leave immediately. Dasos panicked, wondering why Tae-in was staring at him like that. Trust me, you'll love this. Most rode the dragon while Cheon-ma and Udarini flew alone. Tae-in points them straight to the palace. Down in a small kingdom village, a father and son look up, spotting what they think is just a massive bird in the sky. Stick with me here because you and I are about to see a myth become absolute reality. Boom, Dicassos touches down right in front of them. Tae-in casually introduces the super dragon. He asks if this is Iobni, the capital of Achunia, wondering if this crazy place actually looks like a whole different world. Dicassos drops a bomb, telling Tae-in he is totally on his own now. The dragon refuses to even look at this country's king. He warns Tae-in to watch his back, dodging any major spoilers, just saying he will understand once they meet. Tae-in gives his thanks, hoping they cross paths again someday. The dragon respectfully bows. Helping the hero of prophecy was a massive honor, however brief. But then he adds they should probably never meet again. Tae-in politely asks the locals to borrow a cart, and the stunned guy just tells them to take literally anything. They stroll right through town while Kim Il-yun proudly announces the hero's party is arriving. Layla mutters about all the heavy stairs, but suddenly their path gets totally blocked. Some street thugs step up, demanding they drop every single valuable item immediately. Tae-in laughs at the classic trope, and Layla sighs, realizing these idiot bandits are actually trying to jump the legendary hero's squad. Now watch this closely because these clueless thugs are demanding all their gear right now. An axe-wielding thug creeps on Layla. Another guy targets Cheon-ma, completely missing the absolute death glare she is shooting right back at him. Tae-in strictly orders his team not to kill anyone. The bandit gets confused right up until Cheon-ma launches her devastating attack. She absolutely wrecks the whole gang without breaking a sweat. She jokes about dropping everything to just reincarnate. Meanwhile, the crowd goes wild, realizing they wiped a whole gang in one hit, proving they really are the prophesied heroes. The whole street cheers and hypes them up as they walk. Tae-in decides to drop some world tree flowers for the crowd, making the people praise our main character even louder. Inside the royal castle, a nervous servant approaches His Majesty, announcing that the so-called hero of prophecy wants a meeting. The king aggressively bites a chicken leg, calling the whole thing stupid, and ordering them to be kicked out. But the servant mentions they brought the 4 greatest delicacies in the entire world. Tom instantly flips his script, demanding they be led inside right now. Tae-in casually walks right into the throne room. Tom laughs loudly, asking what brought him all the way here. Tae-in plainly states he wants to borrow the royal head chef for a bit internally, noting this king totally looks like a classic evil tyrant. Tom literally drools, declaring that in exchange, Tae-in has to hand over those 4 legendary dishes immediately. But our guy pushes back, saying that is going to be a huge problem. Tom snaps, yelling that Tae-in is defying a royal order. He summons the royal guards while his poor servant tries begging for reason. I know what you are thinking. Big mistake, right? The guards block the king. Tom screams at them to execute Tae-in and enslave his entire team. The heavily armed soldiers lock into battle formations. Tae-in sighs. No wonder this place is full of starving kids and street thugs when the ruler is this deeply corrupt. He has seen enough. He unleashes the celestial demon, giving her just one simple rule: do not kill anyone. Cheon-ma cracks a terrifying smile just as the troops charge. Tae-in shakes his head. They really picked the wrong boss. Cheon-ma instantly blitzes forward, absolutely steamrolling the entire royal guard in a flash. Tom panics, shocked his elite knights got folded instantly. Tae-in sarcastically apologizes for the mess. But since things escalated, they might as well just steal the throne. He casually takes the crown and drops it right on Kim Il-yun. The tyrant cries for mercy. While Kim Il-yun hypes up his brand new king status, Tae-in orders him to fetch the head chef immediately. King Kim Il-yun instantly commands the remaining terrified servants to obey. Tae-in just shakes his head at this chaotic mess. A servant runs back apologizing, finally introducing Sanchez Beck, the legendary royal head chef. Tae-in questions his awful condition, and Tom spits that the guy is just a lazy slave who wastes every single opportunity given. But Tom admits his cooking skills are legendary. The servant exposes the truth. This greedy pig forced Sanchez to cook 24/7. Tom screams that Sanchez is just completely ungrateful and lacks honor. Tae-in is disgusted by this pure trash behavior. It is sickening, so Kim Il-yun casually hits him with absolute dimensional exile. Tom begs them to stop, but the Pig King gets forcefully sucked into a massive portal, screaming his lungs out for help. Layla sighs that things got crazy fast, but Tae-in admits it was pretty fun. Still, they have one major piece of business left. You and I are looking at the future of humanity right now, and he is just incredibly tired. Everyone yells for Chef Sanchez, and he finally snaps awake. He instantly apologizes, promising he'll be ready in a second. Tae-in tells the chef to calm down. But Sanchez just screams back that he needs to cook, terrified of what happens if His Majesty starves. Stick with me here. Our MC tells him to relax, that Tyrant is dead and this little kid is the new king now. Sanchez is completely confused. Then Kim Il-yun orders the chef to whip up something amazing using the ingredients they brought along. Sanchez is absolutely mind-blown seeing these legendary ingredients. Our MC points out the cart is loaded with the world's top 4 delicacies. He asks Sanchez, can you make the absolute best dish in the entire universe? Hearing this crazy request, the chef gulps hard. He marches straight into the kitchen. Yuna throws on her apron, giving a cheerful wave. Sanchez instantly starts speed-chopping onions. Right after he whips up a boiling soup using lava sea spines, Yuna literally cries seeing a rare paradise rabbit leg. Working together, they crack open a massive dragon egg, frying it up inside a ridiculously huge pan. The pressure in that kitchen is intense, but seeing the final dish, they finally smile. They march back into the royal hall, proudly announcing that the food is served. Sanchez confidently declares this is the most delicious meal on the planet. He reveals an absolutely gigantic, mouth-watering omelet to everyone. Sanchez explains his technique. He perfectly salted the flowers of the world tree. He cooked paradise, rabbit thighs, stuffed it all with dragon eggs, and added those lava sea spines. Tae-in calls the flavor insane, while Lee Nara jokes it's almost terrifying to eat. Yuna chimes in saying she taste-tested it earlier, and it was straight up divine. Now watch this closely. They finally dig in, but the second that fork hits the MC's mouth, trance mode, his mind gets blasted to another dimension. He literally goes on an intergalactic flavor trip, crying his eyes out. Through his tears, he sees a giant blue sky and a massive flower field. Feeling this intense, comforting warmth, he just stares at his hands. He looks up, throwing his arms wide open. Still sobbing, he watches a giant goddess statue approach him. She gently grabs his hands and plants a kiss right on his forehead. Back in reality, this transcendent food has Tae-in crying too. He wipes his tears, swearing it's the best thing ever. Lee Nara laughs, saying the MC's wild reaction proves just how epic it tastes. Snapping back the MC thanks the chef. With this masterpiece, they can finally challenge Oishi Kunar the right way. Sanchez thanks these heroes for saving him and his entire country. He truly hopes they pass whatever crazy test they're facing next. The MC sets up a bed for the exhausted chef, then asks his crew if they are ready. He tells the system to activate Oishi Kunar's final test. The system locks in the command, warping them straight into the gourmet Constellation dimension. Tae-in says he's betting everything on that food, and Yuna completely agrees with him. They touch down, but it's pitch black. The MC wonders why they can't see a single thing. Yuna gets terrified, so our guy instantly summons a glowing ball of light. Oishi Kunar's voice echoes out. She's actually super impressed they got ready this fast. The original test was just for her to eat his cooking. But honestly, that would be way too easy. You saw this coming, right? Thanks to Omoshiroi, she prepared something totally different. Welcome to the ultimate gourmet cooking tournament. Lee Nara is outraged while the MC curses Omoshiroi for interfering. Oishi Kunar asks if they even remember the original conditions. The goal was to make a meal that satisfies her taste buds. But they had to gather ingredients and cook it themselves. Well, those core rules still apply here. Boom, she summons dozens of people to cooking stations. She announces she brought the absolute best chefs from every dimension to present their signature dishes. And if our MC's food isn't the #1 most delicious dish out of everyone, she fails them. Lee Nara screams that changing the rules midway is totally unfair. But the MC stays calm, saying he actually expected some cheap trick like this. Besides, they're about to serve up the greatest meal in the universe anyway. Oishi Kunar smirks, revealing the chef she's betting on really caught her eye. She points directly at Sanchez, who is suddenly standing right there, balancing their 4 legendary delicacies on his head. The entire crew is completely stunned. Those are literally their hard-earned ingredients. Tae-in panics, yelling at the system about their stolen food. Yuna desperately asks how they can even compete now. Meanwhile, a brainwashed Sanchez opens his eyes, ready to cook. Suddenly, an alien fish presents his clan's ultimate dish, the legendary underwater world cake. The fish explains it tastes infinitely better when served next to a specific clay bowl. Oishi Kunar coldly thanks him. She takes one bite, calls it delicious, but ruthlessly notes the cake isn't baked to perfection. Now let this sink in. As punishment, his entire alien clan goes totally extinct. Just like that, she calls the next chef. Kim Il-yun freaks out. They didn't just get eliminated, their entire species was just wiped from existence. Stick with me here, this survival game is insane. Sanchez apologizes because the Constellation banned sharing. Tae-in calls out the absolute BS. Lainera points out those ingredients belong to them anyway. But Sanchez admits he's totally useless here, unable to return their massive favor. He feels incredibly guilty that this disaster is happening to them. Tae-in fires back, saying the real enemy is Oishi Kunar for trapping them. He yells straight at the cosmic being if she steals all their hard-earned stuff, they are literally dead in the water. Oishi Kunar scoffs. He just wasn't ready. Fine. She'll grant them a tiny window to hustle and scavenge brand new ingredients. She'll judge the final dishes later, so they better fight like their lives depend on it. Yuna immediately asks about using summon magic. But the god denies it, she only wants raw, hand-gathered items. Using magic to copy or summon food is straight-up cheating. Anna groans that this is ridiculous, while N panics about their next move. She suggests reversing time. Our MC shoots that down quickly. Cosmic beings like her are completely immune to any space-time tricks. Right then, a crazy, reckless plan pops into our hero's mind. He actually thanks the narrator for the spark. He boldly announces they are perfectly fine now. He's got a master plan. Oishi Kunar smirks, claiming she expects a truly legendary meal. The MC admits that crushing enemies with raw power is great, but pulling off a high-stakes, risky gamble, that's where the real fun is. Now watch closely. He whispers to Yodu Rainey, while another chef hands the god some heated ore. She hates it and instantly deletes him from existence. Zero hesitation. Boom. Gone. She sighs, wondering if any decent food even exists here. Then she notices Sanchez wrapping up his dish. The arrogant god raises an eyebrow, asking if he seriously just cooked up some dragon eggs. Sanchez proudly declares it the absolute best omelet in the world. The goddess mocks his massive ego. But Sanchez stays humble, admitting he only pulled off this epic dish because the heroes fought so hard for the ingredients. Oishi Kunar ignores the speech and shoves the bite into her mouth. Her eyes go wide. She smiles, admitting it is genuinely flawless, the greatest food ever. Looks like our squad just secured a massive guaranteed victory. The surviving chefs are stunned he wasn't erased. She praises how he elevated the natural flavors to a god-tier level, demanding to know his secret source. But Sanchez drops a bomb, he officially forfeits the match. He didn't use his own stuff for this masterpiece, and his chef's pride won't let him win like a cheat. The god glares. Is he choosing to be erased? Then Tae-in aggressively steps in, reminding her that those were technically their hard-earned items anyway. I know what you're thinking, easy win, right? Nope. Sanchez argues, but Oishi Kunar just smirks. For her, this drama is finally getting really spicy. As the ultimate foodie god, deleting a master chef is just bad business. The round ends, advancing the survivors. Out of 100 teams, only 8 elite squads survived her brutal taste test. Now, only humanity's absolute best remain standing. She then glares at our MC's team. They haven't cooked a single thing. Tae-in smirks, claiming they've already cleared her impossible test conditions. The cosmic being sighs. Is he really trying to bluff his way out of being erased? How incredibly pathetic and disappointing. Tae-in flips the script. Is she seriously the so-called gourmet god? She frowns at the sudden disrespect. He challenges her directly. How desperate is she to taste absolute perfection? She growls that divine food is her literal reason for existing. Questioning her devotion means simple death isn't enough, he's getting a way harsher punishment. She threatens to hunt down all of humanity, cook them, and eat them alive. Yodurani thinks he's completely lost it, but Tae-in yells that she hasn't even tried their dish yet. To eat it, she must accept one crazy rule. She has to drop her godhood and become totally human. The goddess is absolutely baffled by this insane demand. Tae-in reveals his trump card. He already confirmed gods can temporarily abandon their cosmic status. As immortal beings, they literally cannot comprehend the true raw essence of a meal. So to experience their ultimate dish, she has to shed her powers and become flesh and blood. Only then can she taste the desperation of life. The girls are absolutely floored by his guts. Oishi-kunar just bursts into hysterical laughter. Fine, she'll humor his little suicidal game. He really dared to say she doesn't understand the joy of eating. She decides she will turn completely mortal for one single moment, but the test rules won't change. If he tries a sneak attack while she's fragile, she will end him instantly for cheating. With the god of justice watching them, she promises a fair ruling. She glows bright, laughing maniacally as her form shifts. Tae-in smirks, his trap is perfectly set. And that's where we leave it. She finishes her transformation, admitting she is now 100% human. Let's dive in. Tae told her it was game over, then triggered his time reversal. Time magic usually fails on constellations, but not today. He unleashed his spell and boom, they instantly warped straight back to a lush green field. Oishi-kunar was completely lost, demanding answers. Tae-in just smirked, bragging he could jump to literally any point in history. Right on cue, Dasos crashed down to Earth in full dragon form. Lenara looked around stunned, asking if they actually time-traveled. Tae-in claimed he was the prophesied hero, and ordered Dasos to turn human. Meanwhile, Oishi-kunar was shaking, terrified she was actually going to die here. Yodurei stepped in calmly, promising she was completely safe. Tae-in swore he had her back, but demanded one final promise. Would she really risk it all for top-tier food? Oishi-kunar desperately nodded yes. After all, she is the constellation of gastronomy. No matter how hyped human food was, she needed to see his absolute best. Tae agreed, ordering her to trust them, blindly warning she'd regret backing out now. Fast forward, Oishi-kunar is covered in mud, questioning her life choices while rolling in the dirt. Dasos blew a whistle, running boot camp. Tae-in yelled at her to sing louder, while Yunya muttered that Tae-in hadn't even done military service himself. Oishi-kunar snapped, demanding to know what this hellish boot camp had to do with gourmet cooking. Tae-in glared, asking if she dared talk back to a constellation. She instantly shut up. She suffered through drills all day long. When she finally collapsed face first into the dirt, Tae-in casually asked if she was done. Oishi-kunar growled that if this meal sucked, he was dead meat. Now pay attention here. Tae-in just spammed his time reversal spell again. Oishi-kunar freaked out right as the magic flared up. Next scene, she's scaling the giant world tree with a flimsy rope. She screamed in panic, but Tae-in just yelled at her to grab every magical flower in sight. Oishi-kunar cried out why her one slip, and she was literally a goner. But Yodurani cheered her on, promising they'd somehow catch her if she plummeted. Tae-in yelled to grip tighter. Yunya thought this was way too cruel, but Cheonma loved the show. Tae-in just sighed, realizing this was going to take forever. Hours later, Oishi-kunar finally snatched a glowing flower. The elder's voice echoed, hyping up its absolute god-tier flavor. She drooled, moving in for a bite, but Tae-in snatched it away. No snacking, strictly for the recipe. Oishi-kunar raged, threatening to kill him on the spot. But Yodurani reminded her that breaking the strict test rules was absolutely forbidden. Time to hit the kitchen. Meanwhile, inside the spooky Demon King's castle, Zeta laughed maniacally. He mocked Oishi-kunar's pathetic new human form. She was shocked to see the constellation of war here, but our MC stepped in, claiming they were just here for a polite chat. Oishi-kunar demanded to know everything. The MC dropped the bomb. Those stolen ingredients actually belonged to Zeta. He whispered they needed to crush this test and wreck this battle-hungry fool right after. Oishi-kunar agreed, instantly ordering him to hand over the goods. Zeta spawned glowing rabbits, mysterious eggs, and dangerous thorns. Tae-in smirked. The loot was secured, now it was time to cook. Oishi-kunar was hyped. We're about to see this wild otherworld episode finally wrap up. Flash. Everyone teleported away. Zeta just yawned, claiming Demon King life was too boring. Suddenly, a massive scream echoed through the royal castle. Tae effortlessly trashed the royal guards, laughing that he never expected to run into this loser twice today. Tom sobbed, begging for mercy. The MC didn't even care immediately, triggering his dimensional exile skill and banishing him into the void. He tossed the cooking duties to Yuna, who confidently nodded. Meanwhile, Sanchez was just chilling in his bedroom. Someone shook him awake, casually dropping the warning that the kitchen was fully booked for now. Back in the fancy royal chamber, Oishikunara whined about starving to death. Suddenly Yunya walked in, announcing it was ready. The Constellation tossed her cards aside. Time to judge a mortal's cooking, but first a wardrobe change. She warned that after all this torture, if the food was garbage, heads would roll. Yunya just blinked, totally unfazed by the death threat. Aishikunar stared, demanding to know what this dish was. Yunya proudly lifted the lid, revealing literally the most glorious, mouth-watering lasagna in human history. She perfectly balanced every single magic ingredient to create this absolute masterpiece. But Aishikunar completely zoned out. For the first time ever, pure, undeniable, primal hunger completely took over her senses. It finally clicked. True flavor comes from real starvation. This single bite was about to shatter the absolute cosmic order of the entire universe. Oishikunari took a bite and literally sobbed. Sanchez watched from a distance, falling instantly head over heels. Tae-in smirked, asking how it tasted. She sobbed, admitting total defeat. And that's where we leave it. What a wild culinary journey you and I just witnessed. Same ingredients as that first omelet, but this time, every single cell in her body is absolutely loving this meal. Stick with me here. Yunya asks about the results, and Oishikunar confirms it. They officially passed with the best meal ever. Everyone celebrates. Yunya asks Tai if he actually planned this insane outcome from the very beginning. Tae denies it. Total gamble, he says, but pushing the others to grow seemed way more interesting. So he just guided the flow perfectly. Yunya looks confused, but Tae smiles. None of this happens without her. That meal she cooked back at her place, absolutely incredible. Her skills gave him total faith in her. Yunya blushes hard, crossing her arms, saying he better be super grateful. Boom, the system announces the gastronomy constellation's test is cleared. Stage 3 of Ascension is finally unlocking. Kim Il-jin completely loses it. How even when he used that power he still got wrecked. The system shuts him down. Tai practically demands the next Ascension level right now. Nothing matters more than pure strength. Fighting a constellation head-on is impossible right now, but honestly, he's totally done playing along with these rigged tests. Yunya points out that Oishikunar totally licked the plate clean. The constellation just shrugs, no way she's wasting good food. Yunya asks if she's somehow still hungry. The constellation nods. Honestly, she could absolutely keep eating right now. Sanchez steps up politely, asking a massive favor. He wants to make dessert, having never seen anyone eat like that. His chef's pride is fully ignited. He just has to cook something epic for her. Oishikunar instantly agrees, eyes sparkling. Tae just watches, wondering what on earth these two are doing. Yodu Reni praises Oishikunar, asking if she'll report straight to the Constellation King. But Oishikunar just looks at Sanchez, totally blushing. Now, watch closely here. She drops a bomb. She's staying in this dimension permanently, just as a normal human. Yodu Reni panics. What is she saying? The test is over. She has to go back to being the gastronomy constellation. Oishikunar shakes her head. After abandoning so many worlds, she really needs to stay here and rediscover the true meaning of cooking. The Justice Constellation warns this will shatter universal balance. But Oishikunar doesn't care at all. Her mind is made up. She steps right up to Yunya, handing over a glowing item. It's her personal artifact, the immaculate cutlery. Yunya panics, asking if she can really take this. Oishikunar smiles. Just think of it as a tip. Yunya holds it awkwardly, asking what it does. Tae admits he's never seen anything like it, but it's definitely interesting. Yodu Reni is sweating. Wrath got destroyed. Gastronomy just quit her title. Things are spinning totally out of control. She stares at Tae, wondering just how much chaos this one human will cause. Yunya thinks they should split the gear, but honestly, she has zero clue how it works. Cheon-ma claims the fork. Layla grabs the constellation's knife. So that means only the golden spoon is left for her. Tae tells her to keep it to get stronger. Meanwhile, Kim Il-jin formally addresses Oishikunar as Madam. He straight up removes his crown. If she's staying here, he says she should absolutely become the queen of this country. Back when she was starving, she literally almost ate him, but held back. And honestly, he deeply respects that restraint. Oishikunar rolls her eyes. She's gastronomy, she doesn't eat just trash. But yeah, she still accepts the shiny crown. Kim Il-jin's pride shatters instantly. But she notes that leading a whole country in the War Constellation's dimension will actually be great practice. Tae smirks, muttering that she clearly has zero clue about the War Constellation's real nature. Yunya asks, what's next? Tae's eyes narrow. The next test is starting right now. First, a zombie apocalypse. Then an intense cooking showdown. If this crazy pattern keeps up, Lee Nara sighs, pointing out every single constellation test feels like a totally different genre. You and I both noticed that, right? Tae jokes about the author switching genres constantly. Yodu Reni interrupts. No more tests. She promises to convince the Constellation Council to let them return to their normal lives. Yunya hopes the weird trials are over. But suddenly Omoshiroi materializes out of nowhere laughing, "Yeah, that's not happening." Everyone spins around. He casually waves, warning them that the next constellation is completely impatient and taking them right now. Tae questions this. Yodu Reni screams for Omoshiroi to stop. Omoshiroi just smiles. The next boss, one of the legendary Zodiacs. And they need to leave immediately. That's where we leave it. They get teleported away, leaving Oishi Kunar stunned as they crash into a dark, rainy dimension. Tae looks around. Where are they now? Stick with me, we are dropping straight into pure betrayal. Yunya hates this endless rain and our MC curses Omoshiroi for dumping them here. He checks if the crew survived, but the girls are just furious about being completely soaked. Tae-in gets a terrible feeling. He demands to know which psycho constellation claims this awful place. Cheonma shivers. She senses pure, murderous intent way, darker than any of the previous constellations they fought. This dimension is totally different. Suddenly a chilling voice from below mocks them. A figure rises from the dark water declaring that passing her test is absolutely impossible. Yodu Rei panics. It is the constellation of despair. Our MC just shouts back in absolute frustration. The girl begs for mercy, screaming that their battered group cannot handle another test. But despair just coldly repeats, it is impossible. No matter how they plead, she refuses to back down. The Constellation Council literally overrides the normal rules. They are forcing him to evolve by throwing him into absolute extreme danger. Expecting him to survive this impossible, she craves his unseen, high-quality latent entropy. Hungry for his power, she instantly starts dragging our protagonist deep down into the murky swamp. Layla gasps, wondering when the water rose. Yoon screams that it is already up to her thighs. Despair declares her twisted condition. To pass, they literally have to drown in absolute agony and lose their lives. That is the rule. Watch closely, our MC is not going down that easily. Boom, a massive explosion erupts. Tae-in, furious, asks why their creators want them dead. He is absolutely done playing nice with her, so he forcefully activates Stage 3 of his incredible ascension. He admits he almost wanted her as an ally because of her cool design, but yeah, scratch that idea forever. He charges up his magic. But insanely, Despair just easily blocks the entire strike one-handed. She repeats, it is impossible. She absolutely will not tolerate that level of disrespect here. The MC realizes her insane speed and raw power match the legendary strength of the 12 houses. Despair's brutal power is on a completely different tier than anything Tae-in faced with Yodu Rei. She is going for an instant kill. But guess what? Tae-in has his own hidden tricks. He triggers the artifact of wrath, warning her he leveled up. Tae throws a devastating berserker punch right at her. The impact blasts her miles away into a stellar explosion. Tae smirks. In Stage 3, he can finally control the crazy power of Wrath's amulet. Despair is stunned, yelling that this is impossible. How does a mere human hold such godlike power? Tae-in laughs, realizing he can actually defeat a constellation now. He rushes in for the kill, but Yodu Rei screams, "Stop, now you and I know this trope." He tells her to move, annoyed that playing the hero will ruin his popularity. Yodu Rei fires back, swearing she is protecting humanity. It is too late. The Constellation Council has already voted to completely exterminate every last human alive. Tae-in drops his guard. Despair stands up coldly, declaring that human extinction is an absolute guarantee now. Despair sealed their fate. Suddenly, Yunya points in pure terror as massive waves rise behind the enemy. The Constellation orders them to drown. She wants them swallowed by the darkest agony imaginable. Tae-in panics for his friends and frantically tries to activate his rank A defensive barrier. Murimu Rimuru blocks him, telling him to just give up and die quietly. Yodu Rei begs everyone to stay calm and listen. Despair's true authority is psychological. The deeper they sink into that swamp, the worse their inner nightmares will torture them. Pure mental agony. It will be the absolute worst pain imaginable. But she orders them not to break. If they just survive the illusion, they will make it back alive. The enemy sneers, calling it impossible. But Yodu Rei snaps back, humans are incredibly stubborn, astonishing beings who never quit. Even against the universe's rules, their raw willpower and wisdom are off the charts. They are not weak enough to die here. If they hold on, everything will be fine. Never break. The deadly swamp swallows the crew. Tae-in desperately throws up a personal exclusion barrier. Yodu Rei appears, firmly grabbing onto Tae-in's shaking shoulder. She promises the others will survive. He must sink into the swamp and beat his own nightmare. She is immune but cannot fight this for him. So what do you think? Tae-in leaves his friends in her hands and dives in. Trust me, the real nightmare is just starting. Stick with me, this gets wild. Sinking into the swamp, a mysterious voice suddenly ordered Tae-in to wake up. The school bully Kim Il-jin demanded a bread run, but our guy was still fast asleep. Boom, Il-jin brutally slammed Tae-in's face right into the desk. Cursing him out, Tae-in woke up in pure agony, completely clueless. Glaring down, Iljin sneered, asking if the idiot was still dreaming. The bully barked at him to hurry up. Looking around the classroom, Tae-in realized the truth: he definitely hadn't regressed back in time. Iljin threatened him with a very painful lesson. Suddenly it clicked. Tae-in realized he was trapped in the infamous despair trial with this jerk. As Iljin taunted him, dark memories of his past bullying came rushing back. Confused and trying to figure out his next move, Tae-in desperately grabbed the bully's hand. He expected to be an overpowered triple S rank hero. Instead, he was dragged to the rooftop and absolutely pulverized. He couldn't believe this garbage plot twist, because right at the very last second, this was supposed to be the epic moment he crushed the bully with godlike power. Iljin complained about his awful day while Tae-in suffered. Desperate, our main character tried to activate his rank unfreeze skill, but absolutely nothing happened. Getting called a pathetic loser, Tae-in realized even his most basic low-tier skills were completely locked. Without his amulet of fury or ascension active, he was defenseless. Then, wham, a brutal punch to the gut. Pure, inescapable despair. Iljin spat on him, mocking that he couldn't even clean shoes right. The bully delivered a chilling ultimatum: finish the errand before break ends or he is dead meat. Watch closely here. Normally he could shatter planets instantly. This had to be a fake mental world, but the pain felt terrifyingly real. Were the others suffering like this too? Even worse, the real Iljin was never actually this vicious. Rising from the filthy puddle, it felt like drowning in hellish despair. With pure grit, Tae-in turned around. His world-saving hero instincts flared up. He threw a desperate punch, but it dealt exactly 0 damage. Instant regret. Tae-in screamed in terror as the bully hoisted him up by his collar. Beaten to a literal pulp, our hero swore he would eventually pulverize this jerk into a hamburger bun. No status window, no cheat skills. If he kept taking hits, the despair would consume him. He had to learn raw combat. Self-taught wasn't an option. He needed a master. Then it hit him: Jo Yun, the girl with insane athletic stats. Even without martial arts, she could definitely help him max out his base physical stats. During break, he dragged his bloody, embarrassing self over to Yoon's classroom to ask for help. But guess who was there? Iljin was cornering her aggressively, offering to buy her expensive things. Yoon totally shut him down, telling the creep to back off. Grabbing her shoulder, Iljin told her to stop playing hard to get. Disgusted, Yoon shoved him away hard. Furious about being rejected in public, the punk asked if she thought she was actually special. You and I know he had to act. Tae-in grabbed him from behind, demanding, "Who do you think you are? Get lost, she is with me." Iljin laughed, asking if Tae-in's brain was completely broken. His body had moved entirely on instinct. Annoyed, the bully snatched Tae-in's arm, calling the pervert a massive pain in the neck. Iljin sneered, promising to send our guy straight to hell today. Yoon shouted for him to stop, but Iljin hit a brutal suplex, slamming Tae-in onto the concrete. Students gasped, comparing his brutal moves to pro-cage fighters. Panicked, Yoon asked if that psycho wanted juvie. The arrogant punk just laughed. His wealthy dad would cover up the crime anyway. Total inescapable despair. Tae-in just wanted peace, but then Yoon suddenly grabbed the bully's striking fist. "What the hell is this?" the bully gasped. Yoon glared, asking if he planned on committing murder, warning him to stop immediately. The jealous delinquent accused Yoon of defending a total loser, assuming they were secretly dating. Annoyed by his toxic nonsense, Yoon sighed. Screaming for answers, Iljin aggressively grabbed her hand. Yoon shot him a freezing glare. In a flash, she twisted her arm, effortlessly breaking his tight grip. Iljin crashed to the ground with a twisted arm, and Yoon started absolutely pummeling his face. "We absolutely love to see it." Stunned, Tae-in watched her approach as she playfully called him a pervert. She checked his bruised neck. Sitting up, our battered hero insisted he was totally fine. "Alright, stick with me here." Yunya demands to know why Tae-in even stepped in today. He completely ignores that, just asking if she can actually fight. Yunya casually explains that growing up she binge-watched Special Forces videos and thought they were totally epic. She started training hardcore to be a real soldier. Anyway, Tae-in acts completely fine, but a direct strike to the neck is dangerously serious. Worried, Yunya asks if he can stand, insisting they head to the infirmary together immediately. Our guy reaches his hand out. But just as their fingers almost touch, Kim Iljin suddenly looms right behind her like a total creep. The bully immediately glares, demanding to know what exactly is going on between them. He mockingly asks if Yunya thinks she gets a free pass just for being a girl. Yunya shuts him down completely. Tae figures that even in this messed up situation, Iljin wouldn't dare strike a girl. Wrong. The psycho totally lunges forward, throwing a massive punch right at Yunya. She is totally ready to counter the hit, but Lane suddenly screams out that a teacher is coming. Annoyed, Iljin stops his fist mid-air and violently groans. He snaps that our hero is completely dead meat later. Then this absolute trash bag spits right in Tae-in's hair. Furious Un calls him a disgusting freak, screaming and demanding to know his actual problem. Our main guy just plays it cool. He thinks that even if this whole thing is virtual reality, seeing Yoon get fiercely defensive for him is honestly a massive win. Yoon helps Tae-in up, while Lee Nara quietly watches the whole scene from afar. Down in the empty school clinic, they realize the nurse is completely gone. Yunya points out that Tae walked perfectly fine alone and his eyes are totally focused now. Since he is alright, Yoon decides she will just wait there until the teacher arrives. The girl casually scrolls through her phone, while our hero just chills on the medical cot. He asks if she plans on leaving and why she is lingering. Yuna shrugs, saying it would suck if he randomly fainted. Plus, she honestly just wants to skip her next class entirely. Our guy honestly thinks her blunt attitude is adorable. He tries asking again if she is a good fighter, but Anna completely shuts him down, saying she is absolutely not in the mood for small talk. Pay attention here because the backstory gets heavy. He thanks her anyway, casually revealing that he and Iljun are childhood friends. Their dads actually worked closely together since kindergarten. Back then, they just played together all the time as innocent friends. But eventually our hero realized how insanely massive the gap between their lives actually was. Then one of Iljun's rich friends totally shoved into him. Highly annoyed, the protagonist whipped around, ending up directly face to face with his old childhood buddy. But Iljun just coldly turned his face away. In that single heartbreaking moment, an invisible permanent wall was totally built between them. In the blink of an eye to Kim Iljun, our guy was nothing but a pathetic, forgotten childhood loser. Iljun's horrible abuse slowly escalated into the complete nightmare it is today. Yunya cuts him off right there, saying she absolutely refuses to listen to this sad excuse. She bluntly asks if he is a massive idiot for just taking the abuse. He argues that while she is naturally strong, powerless people like him simply cannot do anything about it. The girl angrily snaps back, calling him a hopeless coward who could actually change things if he bothered to try. Tae fires back, claiming she only judges because she completely misunderstands the real situation. With his own dad's job totally on the line, he seriously cannot fight back. Yunya fiercely calls him a total idiot. She demands to know if his dad would honestly sit back watching him get abused, questioning why she even bothers wasting her time dealing with this pathetic guy. So Tae-in takes a total gamble. He asks her for help. Confused, she asks what he means. He promises to finally stop acting weak and give her advice a chance, but only if she literally trains him to fight. Yuna glares silently, then suddenly smiles. She asks if he seriously wants this, agreeing to give him one single desperate chance. You and I expected a fun training arc, right? Wrong. Her eyes suddenly glow, bluish, radiating a terrifying wave of pure despair. Yoon coldly rejects him completely. Suddenly a horrific dark swamp magically materializes right beneath our hero. Refusing to just die like this, he realizes he desperately needs a massive distraction. Smashing through the dark water, he suddenly screams that he actually likes her. Completely stunned, Yunya demands he repeat that. He violently yells his confession again, figuring this wild dream dimension is not reality anyway. He believes pushing this wild romance angle will somehow completely shatter her dark, despairing curse. But Yunya just absolutely loses it, screaming that everyone is acting like total psychos today. She groans that she should have just taken the punch earlier instead. Still sinking deep into the deadly swamp, he realizes this tactic is utterly failing. Desperate, he violently screams about her homemade lasagna, the best meal she ever cooks. She freezes, demanding how he knew that. He aggressively shouts that while she claimed to want military training, her absolute deepest secret dream was actually becoming a pro baseball player and a master chef. Freaked out, Un demands to know if he is some psycho stalker, but our hero desperately denies it. He screams he is her future boyfriend, but she just walks away in despair. So what do you and I make of this crazy cliffhanger? Absolutely wild. Stick with me, you and I are diving into a wild story where he thought it was game over until she grabbed his hand. Yoon demanded a real explanation right then and there. Because growing up, she actually trained to be a chef and a baseball player. She demanded to know how he figured that out, warning him to drop the time travel nonsense. He just stared down at their connected hands. Then it clicked for Yuna, he liked her. Smack. She slapped him hard, calling him a creep for holding hands. Tai shot back that she was the one who grabbed him first. The nurse suddenly caught them, demanding to know what was going on. Outside later, Yoon pieced it together. He was faking the future boyfriend routine, claiming they were actually dimension-hopping partners fighting aliens. And apparently one of the absolute strongest aliens had locked him inside some twisted virtual nightmare space. This absolute madman needed to be locked in a psych ward. Tae swore every single word was true, though hearing it out loud, yeah, it sounded completely insane. Obviously, Yunya couldn't see the literal swamp of despair trapping him right now, which actually worked out pretty perfectly for him. Whatever. Yunya dropped it entirely. She just wanted combat training right now, especially since she clearly saw the raw, murderous intent in Kim Il-yeon's eyes earlier that day. Still, she seriously wondered why she was wasting her precious time on this complete lunatic. Tae-in defended himself, insisting it was all real well, except the part about him time traveling. Think about it, how else could he know her childhood dreams of being an athlete and a chef? He swore no more lies from here on out. Yunya actually started believing him. Then he dropped the real issue. Kim Il-yeon seriously tried to attack her just a little while ago. There was no way he would let that slide, or let Kim Il-yeon hurt her. Yoon totally blushed hearing him say that, but Yunya quickly fired back. A weakling like him couldn't possibly beat Kim Il-yeon. You and I both know the weight difference is massive here, plus Kim Il-yeon definitely has actual martial arts training under his belt. Kim Il-yeon totally assumed a little guy like Tae-in couldn't magically get strong enough to win in just a few short hours. Tae-in argued he had to at least try. After all, didn't she say that working hard changes absolutely everything? Yunya questioned if she ever actually said that, but he remembered that exact memory perfectly. She let out a deep sigh and finally agreed, though she bluntly reminded him he still couldn't win. Suddenly, Yun stepped right up and punched him dead in the face. Tae-in hit the dirt, completely confused by the random sneak attack. Yun just stared down at him. She explained the strategy: end it before the fight even starts. Create a blind spot, then strike the vitals. They would practice this non-stop until class finished up. He slowly scraped himself off the floor. Tae demanded to know how he even got hit. He figured it was her sudden elbow strike. Yuna smirked, telling him that was exactly the whole point of the lesson. He caught that punch purely because he never saw it coming. If he had anticipated it, he could have tried dodging. And with a guy like Kim Il-yeon, the logic was exactly the same. That bully only thinks offense. He'd never expect Tae-in to strike back. So play weak act, completely submissive, and wait for that one perfect golden opening. Back inside the classroom, the teacher barked at everyone to focus on the group at the front and actually pay attention. Tae-in sat there thinking Yunya's brutal training was way harder than literal Constellation tests. His energy was totally drained by the time Kim Il-yeon finally called him out. Here's where we pay attention. Kim Il-yeon orders Tae-in outside, and even Tae-in notices the bully's art style completely changing. Tae-in stood up obediently. He played along, deciding that sticking strictly to Yunya's master plan was his only real shot right now. Kim Il-yeon immediately insulted him, calling him a creep. The bully smugly warned that whatever happened next would be entirely Tae's own fault, so he better not cry about it. But then bam, Tae-in brutally kicked Kim Il-yeon right in the vitals, before the guy even finished removing his shirt. Kim Il-yeon dropped into pure shock, actually crying. He spotted the blind spot and nailed the vitals perfectly. Yunya's insane strategy actually worked. The arrogant delinquent was left thrashing helplessly on the ground, in pure absolute agony. Gasping for air, Kim Il-yeon screamed that Tae-in was a dead man, furiously vowing to end his life for pulling that stunt. Tae-in just sighed, wondering if that cheap trick was cowardly, especially since he lacked formal martial arts training. Only training for cheap shots felt wrong. But Yoon had called him an idiot. Why feel bad when this childhood friend abused him daily, exploiting a massive weight difference just to bully and torment weaker kids? Now that was the true definition of a pathetic coward. That realization completely enlightened him. Cut back to reality, where Kim Il-yeon was still screeching in pure agony. The bully kept crying about murder. Meanwhile, our guy realized something deep. He used to think violence was never the answer, so he wouldn't try to justify this beatdown either. No matter how insanely real it felt, this was just a virtual space. And this pathetic version of Kim Il-yeon, just a fake character designed to trigger his deepest fears. Tae vows this guy won't ever break him again, smashing a brutal punch right into his face. And honestly, you and I are just as shocked as Yunya watching from afar. Stick with me here. You're about to see him finally snap and tell Kim Il-yeon to back off. Yuna blushed hard, hearing that quickly, hiding herself away again. Yuna thought Tae actually overcame his despair. But then Kim Il-yeon suddenly grabbed his hand, violently twisting his wrist to completely reverse their positions. She immediately realized Kim Il-yeon was a complete idiot. The bully threatened to end Tae's life right there, but instantly ate a massive fist straight to the face. Tae was actually fighting back with pure ease. Yuna watched in disbelief. Even pinned down, this absolute moron still tried to counterattack. He was a total fool. Tae realized this was exactly what Yuna had just taught him. He instantly remembered their intense training session from earlier. Back then, he complained she was going too hard, only to get punched right in the face. Yuna furiously demanded answers, repeatedly smacking him down every single time he tried to speak up. She barked that instead of whining, he needed to break free and take the top dominant position immediately. He recalled how she planted her foot and violently pulled her body up. Bam, she ruthlessly struck him yet again. She angrily asked if her lesson wasn't sinking in. Because if he ever got caught and pinned like this, it was basically an absolute guaranteed loss 90% of the time. But if he could flip it and take the top spot, he would totally dominate the fight. Clearly, this guy Kim Il-jun knew absolutely nothing about submissions. She promised to teach him a brutal finisher. Keep his center of gravity super low so they couldn't lock down their arm movements completely, and then finish them off with a perfect strike. Following Yuna's exact instructions, he completely locked the bully down, screaming that he never should have messed with them. Lights out. The bully was unconscious. Tae felt the heavy aura of despair finally fading away. Yuna walked right up, totally shocked he actually managed to knock the guy out. Not bad at all. Maybe he actually had a hidden natural talent for fighting. He smiled, saying it was all thanks to his amazing teacher. Yuna looked confused for a second, then burst out laughing, calling him a total idiot. Tae completely froze. That was the very first time he had ever seen her smile. Then it hit him. How was she this insane at fighting? Even with intense military training, her raw skills just made absolutely zero sense. Yuna admitted it wasn't normal. Her dad actually knew a special forces operative, and that elite guy personally trained her to the bone. Pure combat skills. Tae realized she was basically a legendary human weapon. She casually mentioned mastering boxing, taekwondo, jujitsu, karate, and a bunch of other brutal styles. Since he just crushed Kim Il-jun, Tae figured this twisted despair test was finally over. So why was he still trapped in this total nightmare? Suddenly, a massive tattooed thug asked who the hell knocked out their guy. Now pay attention, because things go from bad to insane. They turned to face a whole gang of furious delinquents hungry for blood. Yuna demanded to know who these punks were. Tae panicked. This was the notorious Barum group. First up was Park Kangoo, the Gale literally named for his massive head. Then Bang Yuki, the whirlwind, gross and loud. And of course got Taiwang, the typhoon, a literal giant of a man. Finally Zeroth, the storm, a washed-up idol trainee who arrogantly still used his old stage name. Yuna scoffed, calling their names completely childish. But Tae warned her these guys were way beyond your average street thugs. See, Kim Il-jun's dad ran the Sunpong Group, a shady corporation deeply tied to massive dangerous underground crime syndicates. These guys were the spoiled second generation of that mob flocking around Kim Il-jun just to cause pure unhinged chaos absolutely everywhere. Zeroth laughed, highly offended by the word thugs. He claimed that was only for cheap, brainless gangsters. While Yuki grunted in agreement, the idol smoothly claimed they were all just really close friends. I know what you're thinking. He steps right up aggressively, grabbing Tae's shoulder, asking if he actually broke his buddy like that. A dark memory flashed. If Tae fought these guys, his own father's life would be ruined. The sheer terror he felt was incredibly real. Zeroth smirked, realizing Tae was weak. Even knowing this world was fake, Tae was utterly paralyzed by his own deep-rooted trauma. Yuna fiercely told him to stop. The cocky idol smirked boldly, asking if she was Tae's girlfriend. Suddenly, Tae realized a terrifying, heavy, and completely different aura had instantly filled the entire room. Her face went completely dead. She practically growled, asking what the hell this bastard just said. Meanwhile, Tae remembered a hilarious webtoon scene about this exact situation. Back in the real world, a friend had teased Yuna, telling her to look at her supposed boyfriend walking by. Yuna absolutely hated it. She snapped instantly, warning her friend never to make that kind of sick joke ever again. And now Zeroth just repeated that deadly mistake. He gave a fake apology, then smugly pushed his luck, asking if she was actually single. Taiwang laughed, calling him a total player. Yuki bluntly added that chasing girls literally got him kicked out of his idol agency. We'll leave it here, she warned him to run while she's still nice. Stick with me here. Zeroth asks, what if he doesn't, while the girl drops into a combat stance. Tae-in cuts in. He explains Ilian threw the first punch, and that's exactly how the fight went down. Zeroth questions it, then bam, he immediately punches our MC. Yuna is stunned. It was way too fast for her to even try and block. Zeroth warns him that he should have been totally wrecked by now. Yuna steps up to fight. This idol guy asks who she is, claiming he doesn't hit women. She tells him to back off, but Zeroth turns around grinning. His friends, they don't play by those rules. All three of them get ready to jump the girl. Our MC steps up and shouts at his friend. He tells her to run. Yuna asks what the hell he means, but he just yells at her again to get out of there. She demands to know if just because he picked up some fighting skills, he actually thinks he can solo everyone. Tae coldly replies they aren't even friends. Startled and furious, Yuna calls him a complete loser and walks away. Meanwhile, our MC secretly knows this is exactly what needed to happen. Yuna could probably crush these guys alone. But if she did, she would instantly become a prime target for the ruthless Sunpong Group. This is his burden to bear. Zeroth smirks and asks if he's finally done arguing with his girlfriend. The MC raises his guard, daring them to attack. Now pay attention, this is where it gets crazy. The idol charges and lands a brutal knee strike. Lights out. He gets completely knocked unconscious and everything simply fades to black. Suddenly, he finds himself sinking into a dark swamp of despair. But weirdly enough, it actually feels super comfortable. He wonders if he just lets himself sink will all the pain disappear. He closes his eyes, remembering his friends, but then he snaps out of it. He realizes he isn't the only one trapped in this despair. Cursing his own weakness for not pushing past his limits, he desperately begs for just one more chance. Boom, a blinding light flashes. He wakes up to the sound of his dad asking if he is finally back in his right mind. Squinting at the harsh hospital lights, our MC groggily turns his head. His dad asks why he's staring like a stranger. Tae suddenly recognizes him and bolts upright, screaming in shock. His dad casually asks if he caught amnesia. Tae yells, asking if that is seriously what you say to your injured son. His dad sighs, saying it is honestly just a relief that he is still alive. Tae asks why on earth he's stuck here, and his dad mentions his mother has been crying outside. Seriously, he keeps getting beaten to a pulp and making his parents worry sick. The MC mutters back that it isn't like he actually wanted to get punched. His dad calmly asks if he knows the guy who did this. Tae admits it wasn't just one dude, it was a whole group of them. His dad goes quiet for a second, then softly reassures him it's fine. He repeats his usual motto that violence never actually solves anything. Back in his day, kids grew up fighting in the streets, but times have changed. Tae thinks to himself about how hard he tried to hide everything. His dad says it is his responsibility to leave his son a truly peaceful world. Tae looks confused, asking what the hell he means. His dad just tells him to rest up, recover fast, and focus on studying. He promises that no matter what happens, he will always have his son's back. Tae finds it strange. Whenever he talks to his dad, all his dark despair completely vanishes. He tells him to make sure his mom stops worrying. Outside, his dad's face drops. You and I know the truth. Tae has no idea who his father truly is. Suddenly, Ilyun's father gets a phone call. He wonders why Director Bon is calling him so late, answering to ask what is wrong. Iljun's dad demands to know exactly what he means by speaking to him like that. Beyond replies coldly. He swore he'd never let the dark shadows of Sunpong touch his family as the executive director and leader of the strategy group. As night falls over the city, Yuki mocks Iljun, asking if he has some weird fetish for losing to a total weakling. Iljun screams that he doesn't even remember. His friend laughs, telling him to chill. He won't spread rumors about the Sunpong group's young master getting dropped by a loser. Kang-woo brags they will beat the loser down properly next time. Suddenly, Beyond Tyson steps out of the shadows, declaring that they were the ones responsible. The whole gang spins around in shock. Kang-woo glares, asking who the hell this old man is. Just then, Ilyun's dad calls, screaming that he is a crazy bastard, and demanding to know what he is doing. Iljun asks what his dad is even talking about. His dad screams at him to shut up and come home immediately. The father of the kid he messed with, he is an absolute legend in South Korea's corporate world. It all traces back to Chairman Kim, whose massive success story is famous to the general public. But back in the day, he was nothing more than a ruthless street gangster, hanging around shady bars. The bloody mistakes he made wiping out other rival gangs were completely swept under the rug. And, for good reason. Trust me, we're just getting started. The Legend of Sunpong is a twisted story written entirely by this deviant father. Stick with me, this guy alone crushed the local underworld and took over everything. After destroying the rival gangs, he swallowed them right into his own empire. With pure business genius, he scaled up fast. Bars turned into high-end restaurants, street hustles became Sunpong Entertainment, and eventually a massive, heavy industry giant. He rode South Korea's economic boom, pushing his company straight to the very top. Tae-in's father was exactly that kind of monster, but he refused the chairman's seat with one strict condition. His wife and son needed a normal life, no chaebol luxury, no bloody underworld violence, just utter peace. Once that promise was secured, he threw it all away. Absolute madness, right? But to him, family meant everything. A quiet life away from power. When little Tae-in asked what his dad did, he just smiled and said he was a simple office worker. Iljun's dad realizes his son just triggered this legend's absolute worst taboo. They need a hiding spot fast. Kang-gu asks if he knows these kids. Taeyong definitely does. This one, the eldest son of Yong-hun, from Heavy Industries. Then Taeyong just casually tosses him aside with one hand. Iljun's dad keeps calling, but the kid is too paralyzed by fear to answer. Taeyong calmly mentions that violence solves nothing. But with punks like these, talking is a waste of time. Yuki charges forward, throwing a furious punch. Now watch closely. The father effortlessly guts him with a strike, recognizing Yuki as the youngest son of CEO Bang from Sunpong Hotels. He should have inherited his dad's guts, but clearly his stomach can't take a hit. Taewung screams insults, and Zeroth yells to back off, but the big guy blindly charges right at Taeyong. The father casually calls out Tae-woong's name, blocking his heavy attack like it was absolutely nothing. Pure shock. He asks the kid who he thinks he is. Tae-woong arrogantly asks if he knows his mighty father Go Young-jwan. Taeyong recognizes him instantly, the vice president's son from Sunpong Restaurants. He notes the kid got big, then tells him to lose some weight, before sending him absolutely flying across the room. Zeroth and Iljun freeze in absolute mind-numbing terror. Taeyong looks over. Zeroth must be the entertainment company president's kid, right? Nam Jing-yu's boy, specifically, Nam Bong-yu. Zeroth curses, wondering who this monster is, while Iljun just nervously laughs. Taeyong narrows his eyes. Does Iljun really think this is funny? His crew is getting demolished, and Taeyong wonders how Iljun ended up so broken. Looks like somebody desperately needs an education. Zeroth begs him to wait, asking if he can really handle the fallout. Taeyong just glares. Did they think about consequences when beating his son? Zeroth stammers, finally admitting he was wrong. I know what you're thinking, Mercy. Nope. Mistakes require punishment. That's real responsibility. Taeyong steps forward as the spoiled kid screams for his life. Cut straight to the hospital. Taeyon's mother gently peels apples for her boy. Taeyeon apologizes, but she immediately stops him. He did absolutely nothing wrong. The thugs who attacked him are the ones who owe an apology. Taeyeon shakes his head. Next time he is fighting back hard. His mom mentions the pretty girl who called the cops. Taeyeon wonders if Yuna did it, surprised she was actually that loyal to him. His mom playfully teases him, shocked her son has such a gorgeous friend. Taeyeon sighs, asking if that is really something a mother should say. She admits the girl was worried sick, and she feels truly grateful. Taeyeon secretly smiles at that. But suddenly the hospital door swings wide open. His mom smiles, saying her guest arrived right on time for some fresh fruit. Taeyeon freezes in total shock. It's Nara. She steps in, glad he is awake, playfully asking how his mom knew she loved apples. He demands to know why she is here. She came to check on him, but casually mentions his defensive attitude is still pretty terrible. Taeyeon realizes instantly it was not Yuna who called the cops earlier. Nara gets serious. Leaning in close to his ear, she whispers that they need to escape this despair test right now. Taeyeon's eyes widen. How does she know about the test? She explains she broke out of hers to save him. He asks how that is even possible. Honestly, she has absolutely no clue either. She just woke up inside the massive barrier Udaranai created. For whatever crazy reason, she was the only one conscious. Everyone else was trapped in nightmares. But from him she felt a completely different energy flowing. She touched that beautiful energy and got sucked into his mind. And trust me, you and I are not ready for what happens next. Stick with me here because you and I are about to watch our heroes finally wake up and escape this mental trap together. But Tae-in admits he has absolutely zero idea how to escape. Nar looks shocked. Has he not conquered his despair yet? Because honestly he feels completely fine right now and he clearly just wants out. Tae-in tells her he needs to break free, save his friends, and keep fighting those godlike constellations. There was literally no reason to stay. Suddenly his mother asks what on earth they are discussing. Nara covers for him, saying they are just talking about complicated things she would not understand. Tae-in's mom worries, asking if he plans to fight again. He stammers, trying to deny it completely, but she just grips his hand tight. To them he is everything, living together happy and healthy, that is all that really matters. So she makes him promise if things get dangerous again, he needs to be totally honest with his parents. Tae goes dead silent. His dad cuts in, asking if he is hiding some dark secret from them. His mom mentions he was headed to a friend's funeral, but she really wants to know exactly where it happened. Tae-shung claims it was not a close friend, desperately trying to wipe the blood off his face. Now watch closely because his dad tells him they will always stand by his side, leaving our main character completely stunned. He sighs, actually super touched by the sweet moment, and casually mentions they should not worry because he is humanity's chosen savior. His poor mom bursts into tears, terrified that someone must have hit her son's head really hard. Nar happily agrees, boldly calling the woman her mother-in-law. Tae holds her hand, explaining that knowing his parents love him gave him a massive internal power-up. He is way stronger now, so they really do not need to stress. Plus, he has incredible friends backing him up. Feeling genuinely happy, he finally tells his parents he loves them. Still worried about brain damage, his mom says they love him too. Just like that, the family warmly holds hands. A brilliant light shines from their faces. Suddenly Tae snaps awake. Yudu Renee sighs, glad he is finally back. Tae quickly asks about their location. She says they are trapped in the abyss beneath the despair swamp. She held the barrier, but did he and Nar overcome the trial? Tae smirks, saying you could definitely say that. But Yunya helped him most, and she is still trapped in her nightmare. Yud Rainey warns that this dark energy keeps growing stronger. Our hero quickly declares he has to save everyone here. Nar senses that same dark energy coming from the hamburger. Suddenly a blinding flash swallows Tae-in and Nar, sucking them straight into Ilyun's dream. You and I are probably wondering the same thing as Yudur and I. What is Nara, really? She sensed her mysterious aura during the Wrath trial. Nara completely shrugged off the deadly virus. She was the absolute only one immune, even managing to handle that insane level of power. Even with her memory wiped, Nara beat the despair test first, plus she can casually enter other mental worlds, a skill even Udur and I literally cannot pull off. So yeah, Nar is incredibly special. Meanwhile, inside Ilyun's mind, she loudly points out a huge problem. Tae-in asks what is wrong, but some random voice suddenly shouts. They are interrupting a tense match, and the guy aggressively demands to know who they are and where they came from. Nar awkwardly apologizes, promising they will leave immediately. Tae-in looks around a soccer stadium. They are definitely inside Ilgun's mind, but how does a literal piece of hamburger meat experience such deep human despair? Tae-in explains the crazy truth: Ilgun used to be a human boy, until wild circumstances tragically turned him into a literal hamburger patty. So right now they are trapped inside Ilgun's darkest memory, witnessing his absolute lowest moment. Nar asks where the boy went. Right behind her, Ilgun loudly complains to his strict coach. He furiously complains that he is getting benched when his teammates are the ones playing like trash. He threatens to call his rich dad and get the coach totally fired. Tae-in realizes this is middle school era Ilyun in action. He knew Ilyun used to train for pro soccer before quitting. Suddenly the angry coach grips Ilyun's shoulder, snapping him to reality. He roars that he does not care about Ilyun's rich family. A selfish brat like him has zero place on this team. Ilyun rages, and our two heroes instantly figure out exactly what is happening here. This sports drama cliché might not be for everyone, but Nar cheerfully mentions that hardcore fans will absolutely eat this up. The classic storyline: the selfish troublemaker goes through massive character development levels up and brilliantly leads his underdog team straight to absolute victory. So they decide to speedrun this Kim Iljun filler episode in one quick chapter. That is, until Nar totally grabs the boy's attention. The kid demands if they know him. But trust me, you will laugh when he vaguely recognizes Tae-in as the famous school pervert. He demands to know what Tae-in is doing here, and why he looks so massive now. Stick with me here. Tae-in spots a girl near this creep and instantly knows pure annoyance incoming, but Tae-in pushes past the despair. Since they are inside Ilyun's inner world, his powers are back online. Time stop activated. It totally works. Tae-in genuinely missed having his system. Nar is absolutely blown away by the frozen time. Tae-in plans to just grab Iljun and teleport out, but Nar suddenly yells at him to stop. She points out a massive flaw: if they yank middle school Iljun out, what happens to the hamburger? Tae-in realizes she might be right. The hamburger and the original Iljun probably cannot coexist in the same space. Nar explains Iljun must conquer his despair right here to heal his actual body. Tae-in pauses, admitting Nar is definitely the smart one here. So his new plan: manually adjust Ilyun's mindset, fix his terrible personality, and boost his soccer skills. They step back to watch the results unfold. With a snap, Tae-in unfreezes time. Color slams back into reality. Iljun gasps awake, collapsing to his knees as he desperately tries to get his words out. Crying, he admits he absolutely refuses to take over his dad's business. He craves respect. Yet he still honors his father, which is exactly why he poured his soul into soccer. Nar asks what the real problem is. Tae-in smirks, saying he just tweaked his brain. Iljun tearfully realizes his teammates suffered, admitting you need actual bonds to win at soccer. Tae-in realizes this is exactly why Iljun started acting like a total punk. If he had just stuck with his soccer dreams, he never would have ended up so hopelessly lost. He should have confronted his feelings sooner. But Tae-in smiles. The guy who was a total villain in the previous episode just got a completely clean slate. Time to help him crush this despair fast. Now pay attention here. Nar thinks that ruins the fun, so Tae-in uses temporal acceleration, literally fast-forwarding reality before our eyes. Iljun sprints to the coach, drops to his knees, and begs for forgiveness. The coach is totally stunned, but then slowly smiles. He subs a player out, finally letting Iljun hit the field. But the whole team glares at him with pure hostility. That old aura of despair left a bitter taste. Iljun sweats a little under the pressure. The whistle blows, the match restarts, and a forward charges down the field. Iljun waves frantically for a pass, but his teammate just glares right through him, completely ignoring him on purpose. The rejection stings hard. Without missing a beat, the forward blasts a shot at the goal. Boom, a defender barely blocks the strike. The team scrambles for the rebound, but Iljun completely steals the spotlight. He snatches the ball, breaks past a defender with insane speed, and suddenly it is just him against the goalie. The other team totally panics. You are expecting him to shoot right, but wait, he actually looks away and passes the ball. His teammate is absolutely shocked, but Iljun just flashes a huge, genuine smile. The forward snaps out of it, hammers the ball, and the goalie completely misses. It slams into the net, an absolutely perfect goal. The forward screams in victory, while the whole team swarms him. They are cheering, but then the forward turns, smiles, and reaches his hand out to Iljan. They shake on it, finally united. The coach grins proudly. Tae-in nods, declaring that their work here is officially done. Nar admits she knows nothing about soccer, but even she thought that was epic. Tae-in laughs, saying it honestly makes him want to draw a sports manhwa. Nar gasps, pointing out that the heavy aura of despair is finally fading away. Tae-in confirms Iljan has officially conquered his demons. Nar cheerfully says his inner world is actually pretty fun now, so the two decide to push forward. The dreamscape collapses. Back in reality, Iljan snaps awake, stretching like he just had the best sleep of his life. Nar checks to see if he is okay. Iljan grins, confirming he feels 100% fully restored. Tae-in does not waste time. Next target is the inner world of the celestial demon Cheon-ma. Nar shivers, guessing it will be a terrifying martial arts world. But Tae-in just smirks, confidently promising to use his full power to protect her now. Nar immediately blushes at that. The barrier glows bright, and they dive straight into Cheon-ma's mind. Tae-in keeps his eyes closed but suddenly awakens inside the realm. He says this is the celestial demon's martial arts world. But wait, why are Jo Yunya and Laya suddenly standing right there? He is totally confused by why they are here and why they are wearing those exact outfits. It is the exact setup from their first battle in chapters 4 and 5. Yunya looks confused, but Nar spots something in the smoke, and trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me here because things just got crazy. Cheon-ma cannot understand why his voice sounds entirely female. Everyone is completely stunned. Tae-in wonders why she returned to this exact moment in time. Was this her moment of ultimate despair? Cheon-ma angrily asks what that bastard did to her. Tae-in nods. Hearing this, Cheon-ma steps up, demanding his male body back, and Tae-in agrees. A bright greenish hue suddenly floods the entire room, and his original form is fully restored. Cheon-ma bursts into laughter, thrilled to feel his masculine martial arts energy again. Nar says the nightmare is finally over and they can safely leave now. Tae-in agrees the despair is defeated. But Cheon-ma violently grabs him, yelling his name. Wait, he is still a woman. Furious, Cheon-ma screams that she was the ultimate man. Tae totally ignores it, saying they need to move. Cheon-ma demands to change back, but our guy jokes that the readers actually prefer her like this. The martial artist, Cheon-ma, threatens to slice his throat, so he can never speak again. But Nara points something out. Wasn't Cheon-ma incredibly bored after literally reaching the absolute peak of the world as a man? Honestly, wouldn't it be a fun challenge to climb to the top again as a woman? Hearing this, Cheon-ma smirks. That actually sounds pretty interesting. Her massive yang energy was forcibly converted into yin, completely altering her ki. If she masters this brand new flow, Cheon-ma could break through to a completely unknown realm. Nar loves the confidence and totally cheers Cheon-ma on. Tai interrupts, calling everyone together. It is time to help Leia. Without hesitation, they dive straight into her inner world. Inside it is pure nightmare fuel. The crown prince holds a blade, screaming that his wife belongs to him. Layla begs Jerian to calm down, insisting she is his, and whatever Vivian said was a lie. But Jerian shakes his head. This is not about rumors or her loyalty. He wanted her to choose him freely, without a single drop of hesitation. He remembers pulling so many strings for her Duke family, but realized she was just using him the entire time. She never even said she loved him once. Tears fall down Layla's face. She just wanted her family to survive, calling him absolutely crazy for thinking this twisted obsession was actually love. Jerian freezes in shock. Then pure madness takes over his eyes as he laughs in despair. He calls her incredible, truly living up to her title as the Imperial Palace's greatest villain. She is a gorgeous flower, driving thorns directly into his bleeding heart, so he has to cut her down. Now pay attention, because here comes the epic save. Tae interrupts, casually flicking the crazy prince across the room. The impact shatters everything. Layla cries out for Lord Tae-in. He smiles, saying he came to rescue her and she can finally forget about that piece of trash. But Layla shakes her head, crying in absolute despair. A dark aura surrounds her. She says Jerian was pitiful, born to be an emperor, but cursed with an empty heart that nothing could fill. Tae-in says that is ridiculous. But Layla cries that if she had genuinely loved him, none of this tragedy would have happened. Na realizes the truth. Her crushing despair comes from the heavy guilt of her husband losing his life. Tae-in refuses to accept that. Suddenly, Cheon-ma steps up, calls her pathetic, and threatens to kill her. Tae-in yells at her to stop, but Cheon-ma asks if this is what she truly desires. Feeling sorry for a guy trying to murder you means you think your own life is a joke. She absolutely hates this weak, fragile mindset. Layla fiercely denies it. So Cheon-ma tosses the knife right at her, demanding proof. Let that sink in for a second. Only the ultimate survivors walk the demonic path. If you want to live, you have to cling to it. If you are holding on, you have to swim with everything you have. That is your ultimate reason to fight. Nara is amazed by this incredibly badass philosophy, and Tae-in totally agrees that Chanma is insanely cool. Layla is touched that everyone went this far to save her. She smiles warmly as a brilliant light consumes the area. Yuduru Rainey watches in pure awe. They were literally shattering the despair. Humans are seriously amazing. Especially Tae-in, who finally stopped trying to carry the weight of the entire world completely alone. This trial definitely pushed their power to the limit. Taya announces the final stop, Jo Yunya inside her dream. Tae knows that if it were not for her, he would have drowned in that dark swamp of despair long ago. So this time, he and his squad are going to save her, but they walk into a massive mystery. She is entirely alone on a deserted island. How did she even end up here? You and I are about to find out. Meanwhile, Chanma looks around, sensing absolutely zero human presence in this desolate place. Alright, stick with me here. You and I are dropping straight into a deserted island. Nara questions Yunya's dark past, but she just stares hungrily at Iljan. Iljan, looking like a burger, screams he isn't food, completely startling the girl. Tae-in calmly tells her to relax. They are actually here to rescue her. But Yunya backs away, demanding to know how he knows her name and if her dad sent him. Our main guy nods. But the smart little girl immediately asks for solid proof. Chunma mutters that this kid is sharp. Tae-in perfectly describes her brown-haired father from the city, proving they were really sent to help her. Hearing that, Yunya bursts into tears, throwing her arms tightly around his shirt. Tae-in gently asks just how long she has been stranded alone on this empty island, and what exactly brought her here. She explains she was sailing the sea with her dad. Her biggest dream, becoming a legendary pirate captain. Her father was teaching her the ropes during a long ocean voyage. But suddenly, a massive storm hit out of nowhere, putting their entire boat in massive danger. Her terrified dad ordered her to hide inside the cabin. Now pay close attention here. She thought a cool pirate captain would help. But while searching for him, the ship crashed, throwing her into the freezing ocean. She screamed for her dad, but the roaring waves drowned her out. The boat just drifted away. Everything went completely black. When she finally woke up, she was stranded on this beach. That very first day, she did nothing but cry her eyes out. Freezing in the dark night, she honestly thought she was going to die right there. But giving up meant breaking her parents' hearts. She firmly believed her dad would find her. She recalled old survival videos from her explorer phase. Tae-in sweat drops, wondering just how many random dreams this kid actually had. So she built a rough shelter, found fresh drinking water, started a warm fire from scratch, and even managed to hunt down her own food. She took some bad falls and even got super sick, but she stayed incredibly tough, waiting for her dad to finally arrive. Layla practically bawls, saying it must have been pure torture and that she is incredibly proud of her. Chunma praises her absolute beast of a survival instinct. Yunya excitedly asks if her dad is here. Tae-in smiles, promising to take her straight to him. But Yunya pauses, asking for a quick second while she runs over to her small stash. Watching her, Tae-in seriously questions his own life choices, wondering what the heck he was even doing at her young age. Probably just being a spoiled brat. The girl runs back, and Tae-in gently asks what she has holding in her tiny hands. Yunya holds up a gorgeous seashell. She wants to hand it to her dad as proof that she survived and is completely okay. Tae-in grins, guaranteeing her dad will absolutely love it. Nara explains that they are about to magically teleport right to his exact location. Tae-in triggers his mass teleportation skill, bathing everyone in blinding light. We see Yunya crying with her parents. In reality, a passing fishing boat had saved her. But the real reunion took much longer, and sadly, she ended up losing that precious seashell along the way. I know exactly what you're thinking, a sweet ending, right? Sadly, reality was a lot harsher. But the main thing is they finally conquered this despair illusion. Snapping awake in the real world, a tearful Yunya immediately comes face to face with Tae-in. Bam! She punches him, yelling about waking up to his creepy face. Tae-in rubs his jaw, wondering where that sweet angelic kid went. Getting up, Yunya complains about a massive headache from some seriously weird dream. Rainey nods, deeply impressed they shattered Muramu's despair magic. Tae-in turns to the Constellation, thanking her for holding up that protective barrier. But playtime is officially over. They are heading straight into the Constellation of Despair's territory for a brutal fight. Honestly, maintaining universal balance means stopping this madman is the only right move. But Rainey wants to witness their brand of justice. Her massive barrier instantly rises from the water, landing right on the cliff. Muramu panics, screaming that shattering his absolute despair is completely impossible. The squad steps out, ready for war. Tae-in immediately triggers his third ascension stage, boosting it with the glowing necklace of wrath. He blitzes the Constellation of Despair, slamming it with a devastating Ascendant Berserker's fist. He loudly declares it is time to finish this forever. The entity staggers back in pure shock. It literally has no physical form, so how the heck did that hit connect? But Tae-in gives him zero time to process, rushing in with a brutal Ascendant Berserker's kick straight to the face. Cracking his knuckles, our MC smirks, admitting how much he missed this refreshing feeling. Freaking out, Muramu desperately screams at the Constellation of Justice, demanding to know what is going on. Because unless a mighty Zodiac constellation intervened, a normal human overcoming his absolute divine authority is mathematically impossible. So what do you and I make of this? Yudraini coldly confirms she didn't help at all. These legends shattered his test with pure willpower alone. Stick with me, we are about to watch this villain laugh while calling human power an insanely delicious snack. So Muramu rushes straight at Tae-in. He feels her dark energy spiking right before she slams a brutal palm strike. The hit blasts our boy backward. Muramu mocks him, claiming that if her swamp of despair failed, this changes nothing. She wants to crush him with their massive gap in raw power. His system immediately triggers the imitating fist skill, measuring that power gap. Because if pure power was enough to break him, he would have quit ages ago. He charges right back at the girl, analyzing his moves. Tae throws a blazing meteor fist, but Muramu easily waves her hand, blocking the massive strike with her weird crypto fluid. She laughs, saying a basic brute force attack like that makes zero sense here. Teen struggles against it. Nara yells his name, reminding him that they are surrounded by rain and water, making his fire attacks completely useless right now. Tae realizes she is right. Thanks to the Amulet of Wrath, he was totally fixated on just using fire. But Murimu cuts him off, calling it useless while attacking. She doesn't let him breathe, suddenly forcing a terrifying bubble of despair straight into his mind. Wait, is she projecting pure despair directly inside? Tae screams, fighting to break out, but only triggers an electric discharge. Miramu coldly tells him that there is no way that weak trick works. But Tae grins. He explains he survived by controlling his own mind and fueling his rage with ascension power. Following Nar's advice, he switches straight to electricity. He stares Muramu down, warning her he is coming back for round 2 to see if she just blocks it, or ends up completely fried by his lightning blast. But suddenly Uni interrupts everything. Yun had been watching silently, but demands to know why Tai keeps boldly provoking the enemy and explaining all his attacks out loud. The whole point of fighting is to take them down in unpredictable ways. But Tae-in actually breaks the fourth wall, arguing that fast fights finish too quickly, making the readers complete the chapter in literally half the time. To give the fans more satisfaction, he drags it out with dialogue to reveal more epic details. Yunya sighs, having absolutely no idea what he is talking about. Tae-in ignores her and charges Muramu, using a massive electric punch to blast the water away.